just trying to follow protocol.
Well, it's during Players' Championship week, which means I already have a problem in terms of getting there.
Sorry about that.
But anyway, I'm glad you have a fight date. We're going to pump it up. We're going to talk about it throughout the next couple of weeks because now I'm interested about, I mean, not that I wasn't interested, but now I'm interested in what goes in to the next month, the next few weeks in terms of training. We've been on the road with you. I know you've been going to the gym and you train and all that stuff, and I get that part of it. But how much does it get amped up? What do you do? I mean, how much of this is just straight out of Rocky, and how much of this is okay? Rocky was fictional.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to learn that over the next few weeks. I want to take the listeners along for the ride, especially if I'm going to be the Iceman. I need to know a lot more. Anyway, I'm fired up about the fight, March 16th. One more thing. Doors open for that at 4 o'clock.
Correct. Yeah. So
what time will you fight?
So I'm not going to fight because it's an amateur and pro show. So right now I think there's 12 or something fights on this card. So I probably won't fight realistically until 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
And
so not too bad.
Well, and they say doors open at 4. I mean, the fights probably won't start till 5:30 depending. So
all right.
I will keep everybody posted.
Yeah, we will work on it. Yeah. I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
No, it's all
for
good,
the next
man.
few weeks. But I got a feeling I'm going to probably add some pressure.
Pressure makes diamonds, you know?
That's right. Well, I don't know what Robert Kraft is making these days.
Man.
But wow. You know, I tweeted it. Listen, nothing surprises me, okay?
Right.
Humans make mistakes. Humans are stupid sometimes. And money doesn't hide it. Right? Money does not hide it. And there are some stories that Robert Kraft has kind of gone off the rails a little bit in terms of being a little bit more of a wild guy than one would expect in recent years. I don't know how true those are. You get all sorts of stories now.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is he's denying this, which is it's fascinating. I love the denial part. It's fascinating because police down in Jupiter actually got in front of a microphone and said his name, and on top of that said they have video. Which, please do not release that video. I do not want to see Robert Kraft in this kind of video.
No, I'm all set there. Thanks, everybody.
But so that part is fat. And now this must just be a play by his lawyer. The not guilty play. You got to always deny all that stuff. But we are actually going to have John Phillips in a little bit later in the show, so he can take us through some of that. What happens next? What does this mean? And what does it mean for the New England Patriots? And Robert Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots. Listen, I think at the end of the day, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever, Robert Kraft's going to know as building this dynasty of the New England Patriots. I don't think this is going to be the top line of his resume, but it's an added line now on the resume, and not a good one, not a good look for the NFL, and really one of the big owners in the NFL, obviously, because of the 6 world championships.
Well, and it begs to ask you the question, just what kind of fine and what kind of penalties he's facing here, because there's a few questions. Number one, did he or did he not do that? Reports are saying that there's film, like you discussed, there's film of him in the act and whatnot. So one can assume that he did do it. And then number two, where the workers at the Asia Day Spa in Jupiter, Florida, I mean, they were brought from China and they were kind of held against their will. So if Robert Kraft had any inkling that was going on, that's some pretty serious allegations there. On top of just the prostitution ring.
Well, and that's where John Phillips comes in, and we can ask about that. Now, my view of it, this is just me, with not knowing a darn thing about legalese on these kind of things. I think this was part of to your point, big part of a sex trafficking sting. And I think you just brought up the key thing. You would have to prove that Robert Kraft knew this was a sex trafficking massage parlor and knew all that was going on. And I think that will probably be very difficult to prove. I think that's why it's a misdemeanor. I think there's two separate things happening here. The fact that he solicited a prostitute, and the other part is the sex trafficking. And the sex trafficking is the big part of it. Just happens to have scooped up some big names along the way. That's a major problem, sex trafficking in the United States.
It's horrible.
It's something that everybody's trying to, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to put a stop to. And this is the latest example of it. Surprisingly, I don't think Jupiter, Florida, for it to happen, but I think it's happening probably in every city in America.
Exactly. And it just begs the question, what's going to happen to, Mr. Kraft here? Because Jim Irsay, I remember when he had his DUI and then he got caught, I think he had oxycodone and hydrocodone in his blood. He was fined the maximum of $500,000 and suspended 6 games. I mean, one would think that it's got to be more than that, because this is a serious I mean, let's think about it like this, Brent. What if an NFL player was thrown in this situation right here? What would happen to him? What would you say?
Well, that's the great point. I don't know the levels of it, because, like in Irsay's case, you're putting a lot of people at risk. This is a misdemeanor. I can't remember what Irsay's was. Was that a felony charge of some kind? Was it whenever all that went down? I don't know the characterization, and so I think that changes things, right? A misdemeanor is a misdemeanor. I mean, you could get a misdemeanor for smoking pot, and I don't think everybody would be like, well, it'd be a headline, but it wouldn't be this kind of headline.
Exactly.
So, and then there's recent owner Jerry Richardson of the Carolina Panthers, who, because of workplace misconduct, basically end up selling the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's even a different animal in all of this. So, again, I think there's different legs to it. But to your point about the players, and should the owners be held to the same?
The owners are the owners of the franchise. They're running the show. They're the boss. They're the CEO. They're responsible for the players.
But this owner's hanging around with Meek Mill and stuff.
Yeah, and he's also wearing Jordans at being 76 years old.
I will say, we'll get into it a little bit later, but I do think, let's get into it next. What would a player's penalty be, and would it be different? And I think a lot of people off face value would say, oh, yeah, it would be different. Commissioner Roger Goodell would make it different. I'm not so sure. We'll stay on it. We've also got a bunch of guests here on the show coming up tonight, including some high school football talk. Richard Burton wrote a high school football book about the state of Florida recently, and it's the best-selling cities for it, Jacksonville and Texas. We're going to have him on. I want him to share some of the stories, but also why Jacksonville. Is it because of Corky Rogers, the great football up here? Why is it? So that's coming up at 3:30, but next, more on this Robert Kraft stuff on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park. The 2019 Harrell and Harrell Performance Studio is here, and it's better than ever. It's your chance to meet the personalities on the new ESPN 690. Sit in the front row and ask your questions to athletes in town, sports analysts, and experts. You'll be able to see them in person. It's going to be the best year yet. So listen to ESPN 690 for your chance to win your way in throughout the year. It's the Harrell and Harrell Performance Studio, brought to you by Harrell and Harrell.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks, and if you're considering buying a new car, I want you to go talk to my good friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. They have raised the bar for customer service, and you'll be happy you went to Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Their no-risk, no-pressure approach really sets them apart. Imagine buying a new Hyundai Santa Fe, but then thinking to yourself, maybe we don't need that much room in the family. Well, you could buy that new slick Hyundai Accent instead. And with Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville's no-risk, no-pressure approach, you could bring that Santa Fe back to the dealership in the first 7 days for your money back. No pressure whatsoever. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville also offers a lifetime warranty that is good anywhere in the United States. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with Jenkins' exclusive lifetime warranty. Do what my family did. Get a Hyundai and get it from Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Go check out the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
You look at the way Paul George is playing, and you look at Russell Westbrook. I don't think anybody can deny Oklahoma City may be the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with our friend Brent Martineau on ESPN 690.
Hey, we got the magic whiteboard out. Be careful what you say on the whiteboard today.
For sure.
No Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Ooh. I was going to take it in that direction, actually, but basically all I said was, dude, you're a billionaire. What are you doing? Like,
yeah.
What are you thinking?
You know, there's levels of this, right? It's like, we got a lot of responses on Twitter. It's like, well, it's two consenting adults. It's, I mean, is it really that different than getting busted for weed?
Is it really two consenting adults? We don't even know the situation either.
And I think that's the one, you know, one thing, depending, I guess, how you feel about the prostitution topic, but it's a whole different animal I think at least it is. Again, I'm not well versed in this topic of sex trafficking versus prostitution, but I believe the sex trafficking is a whole different level of this. And so I think that's where, I mean, even if you think that way, right, that's different. And by the way, either one, you know, you can say smoking weed or whatever. It's still, if it's illegal, it's illegal. So you're doing something, and I mean, if you're doing something illegal, you're doing something illegal. You're probably going to get a headline if you're Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
If you're doing something illegal like this, which many people view as bad taste, opposite of maybe smoking or getting caught smoking pot.
No, yeah, for sure.
Well, then that already changes the perception. And now you add into it this major, major deal in the United States of sex trafficking. Then you add that element. And again, we're going to talk about it with John Phillips at 5 o'clock today, but and he'll have much better understanding of it. But to me, that's where it carries over. You know, the whole messiness of the deal, whether he knew or not. You know, whether Robert Kraft knew or not. But let's go first things first. He's an owner of a football team. We hold athletes, we hold public figures in high regard to a higher standard. And face value of this is a black eye for him. At the very least, it's a bad look for him and his franchise and the NFL because of that. What do we tell athletes? You know, if you do something bad, if in high school or whatever, you know, you're representing your family, the jersey that you wear, the school, your coaches, all those people. Well, Robert Kraft's now guilty of this, if he's guilty. Now, again, he claims he's not guilty. There are also said to be video out there. And we must point out, too, what Adam Schefter said, this might not be the biggest name. If this isn't the biggest name involved, I mean, Robert Kraft's a pretty dang big name.
How big of a name can you get?
Well, that leads me to think like actual athlete.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I think. But we asked the question before the break, said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen to Robert Kraft. I don't think he's going to get the New England Patriots taken away from him. I don't. I think you have to keep it in mind. Right now, at least, it's a misdemeanor. He could get fined. There could be some suspension involved. There will be some kind of enforcement.
So you're going to go and suspend him? So he has to watch the games from his home, from his $1 billion home.
Well, okay, he's a billionaire. What are you going to fine him?
What a penalty!
What are you fining him? What's the penalty then for Robert Kraft?
To me, it's not.
What do you do? Kick him out?
It's not about it's not about the money, but
how do you penalize a guy like this who's got billions? Or millions.
Honestly, I mean, if it was me, and listen, I don't know all the facts yet. We don't know if he's.
Let's just say we don't want to assume he's guilty, but
because he's innocent until proven guilty, correct? But from everything that we've heard,
if they find something,
if it's me, I'm taking draft picks away because that's what's going to hurt him the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a slippery slope, man.
How's a slippery slope?
You're going to take draft picks away for a morality issue?
Players get fired from morality issues all the time. We can't fire the owner, apparently. So what else are we going to do to him? We're just going to make him sit at home and watch football games? Oh, what a punishment.
Well, it's part of being an owner, man. I mean, you do, like it or not, listen, we can't, there is this fight now in sports between players and owners and who has what and who has more power and who's got more money and who's making the money and are they distributing the money. The bottom line is, if I own a company, if I own a sports team, damn straight I've got the power. I own the damn thing. If you want the power, you come own it. I mean, we can't sit here and say that there should be equal power, money, all this stuff. And by the way, I don't think that's what athletes are saying. I think they want more of the pie. But we have to at least understand these organizations are bought for billions of dollars. That's not the average guy walking down the street, smart or not smart. You have to have a certain level of bank account to be able to do this. So not every guy can do that. Not everybody can do that. Not even players making millions have the ability to do that. So there is an element of power. There is an element of a safe haven for that owner. It's his business, his team.
So what you're saying is that players need to be held and put on a higher pedestal and be held more accountable than the owner that actually runs the team, is what you're saying to me.
Well, from a morality standpoint, I'm fine if we want to lambaste Robert Kraft. I'm telling you, the fact is, a player is an employee. That employee is going to face, or has the ability to, at least face more penalty than the owner. The owner gets to make that decision.
Kraft is part of the shield, though. Kraft is part of the NFL.
And that's the exception. So what does Roger Goodell do? But we have not, that would be unprecedented to Roger Goodell on a morality type of behavior thing right? And a legal thing. He's got a misdemeanor. But this is more morality-based, I think, than it is misdemeanor and court of law stuff, at least at the time being.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, I just don't know how much power Goodell has to, other than fine, other than possibly suspend because we don't want your face being on CBS in the suite there for 3 weeks. I really just don't understand what else Goodell could do. I mean, stripping draft picks, this wasn't football related. I don't see how that could. I mean, heck, what are you going to do? Make him play with 30 players instead of 53?
No, not at all, Brent. But I'm saying you're the owner of the New England Patriots. Even when you go out in public, you're still the owner of the New England Patriots. Yeah. And the only thing that I can see that would actually drive a point home, like I said, money doesn't matter. I mean, cool, yeah, you can donate $500,000 to some charities, that would help out like illegal sex trafficking victims or something like that. That'd be great, and that'd be a start.
And maybe that's what spins off.
Yeah, but let's be honest, $500,000 is nothing to Robert Kraft. So to me, and like again, we don't know if this is all going to be proven, in a court of law where he's going to be found guilty. But if he's found guilty, I'm all for throwing the book at him. And if that involves taking a draft pick away, then so be it.
What's bigger in your mind? Investigation. Richardson, Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Panthers, with sexual and racial misconduct in the workplace, or this?
I mean, it's both despicable. It's so hard to put that, like, which one's worse. To me, they're both sickening.
Yeah, I just feel like in the workplace, in your building, stuff where you can control, because that's where you can really control things, right? You're controlling, like Robert Kraft's situation, he's controlling his own actions, and that's one person. If you're in the building and this kind of action going on, like Jerry Richardson was accused of, well, then you're controlling a whole building, and they have to basically do what you say because you're the boss and you're the owner. Well, my point in that is, and we can, debate which one's worse. They're both bad, like you said, but $2.75 million fine Richardson got. Now, eventually, it ends up selling the team, too. So there was so much heat. And that's where I think this lands. Okay, there might be $1 million fine.
Yeah.
We hold our people. We hold NFL. The Shield says we hold our owners to a higher level than Robert Kraft is showing. But this is really more about just wearing it. He's going to have to wear it, and it's a public embarrassment for the franchise. It's a public embarrassment for the league. It's a big-time public embarrassment for a proud man, most likely, in Robert Kraft. So I think he's just going to have to wear it, and that's kind of the punishment in this whole deal, outside of $1 million, which is like $5 to me.
And so let's ask this question. If he gets, I mean, and this is going to be hard to prove, and obviously when we have the lawyer come in here today, we can ask him this, but if it's found to prove that he was guilty of knowing exactly what was going on in that spa, that there was, illegal sex trafficking going on, then what, Brent?
Well, I think then it amps up, because from the government standpoint, then that might amp up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you're talking about, again, I think we know there in our court system, there are levels, right? There's misdemeanors, there's felonies. There are things, now you take away a little bit of the morality stuff, even though that's still front and center, but now you add in.
FBI is getting involved, Homeland Security.
You add in something that, wait a minute here, this is now, you're breaking the rules more than even a DUI or wherever else, Yeah,
and let's be honest, I mean, all of a sudden a first-round draft pick losing out on that's going to not seem so bad compared to what the FBI could do. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see what's going on.
Well, anyway, that bomb drops around the NFL and Robert Kraft. And, what's interesting here, too, and maybe I didn't read close enough on it, but this was a months-long, plural, months-long investigation by the government here and by the police down there in Jupiter. And so we really don't know, like, his name could have – it's not like this happened last night or this morning is what I'm saying. They have 200 people involved in this sting, and his name just got out. So, I mean, this could have been from November. It could have been when and maybe it's out there when it happened. I haven't seen the date, but I found that part interesting, and that's why we still don't know the 200 names yet. Now, it might be average Jimmy Johnson. Oh, wait, that's a bad name to use down South Florida.
Easy, Brent.
I'm sorry. average Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Smith. Down in Jupiter.
Yeah.
But that was a really bad example right there. Average Joe Smith down in Jupiter that, someone's going to read in the headline and be like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. What a moron, that looks bad. But are we going to see bigger names is what now we wait for.
True, and it begs the question, too, how many times did Kraft visit this spot? Because, if it's over a couple times, well, then maybe he did have some kind of idea what was going on. So once again, we'll keep you guys up to date here as I'm, refreshing my Twitter and whatnot, trying to find valuable sources. But we're just going off by what we know right now.
Now, that's an interesting, kayak fish on Twitter said, when I asked the question, would a player be treated differently? He says, of course, heck, a minority owner would be treated differently. And I mean, I don't know that. We haven't seen that. Jim Irsay is a white owner. We don't have a lot of minority owners in the NFL.
That
I mean,
we do
we're
not.
right here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And hopefully we never have to talk about this stuff here in Jacksonville. But also JPC 14881. That's a big handle there. I hate the Pats, but let's not forget it's just a misdemeanor. I agree. I mean, I think that's, again, you're talking morality versus court of law stuff. And we'll get into it more at 5 o'clock with John Phillips when he joins us. But coming up next, I think you're going to like this. Richard Burton joins us. He wrote a high school football book about the state of Florida. How good is high school football in the state of Florida? Well, we know. Why is it a bestseller in Jacksonville? Interesting. That's next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football isn't the only thing the folks on the Patriots get caught cheating on. Police to our south down in Jupiter, Florida, releasing a statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft being busted at a prostitution ring on video.
It appears when you go to the spa for a half hour, the fee would be $59. For an hour, that would be $79. The video contained Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged acts. The answer to that is yes.
So now the country waits with bated breath for that video to leak, and until then, we're just left burning this horrible image into our innocent minds. The University of Texas has suspended their leading scorer for what they're calling a violation of team rules. Kerwin Roach, currently averaging 15 a game for the Longhorns. This is his second suspension of the season, his third of his college career. And this weekend, the Seminoles travel to Raleigh to take on the streaking Tar Heels while the Gators are at home against Mizzou. Stream us from your phone or computer anytime. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit listen live.
I'm Josh Scobie, proud supporter of the Guardian Catholic Schools, where we believe that every child deserves access to a quality faith-based education. For over 22 years, Guardian Catholic Schools have served as a critical, high-impact presence within Jacksonville's educational landscape. From our highly acclaimed Early Learning Center and K-8 classrooms, every student is prepared with critical thinking skills and confidence as our educators build a foundation for their lifelong success. In fact, more than 90% of our alumni go on to graduate high school, higher than our local and state average. All students attending Guardian Catholic School receive some level of financial assistance. Regardless of where they begin, we know that all children can be successful. For more information on how you can help protect the potential of these bright students, visit guardiancatholicschools.org or call 904-765-1920 to schedule a tour. Guardian Catholic Schools, protecting potential.
I really couldn't play golf. I couldn't even walk very far.
Here's Nancy Anderson to talk about her experience with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
I chose Southeast Orthopedic Specialist because of the reputation of the different surgeons and the hospital experience, and just overall, I'd heard so many great things. And truly, my life is enriched tenfold because now I can do anything.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
Like, your lack of retention is a breathtaking thing that should be among the 7 wonders of the world.
I couldn't see the uniform through Devon's smoke.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz. Weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Welcome back here. We got some comments on this. Michelle Batten says, I hope none of the Jags players were involved in this. I wouldn't go that far to take away draft picks. Also, I feel like Robert Kraft should resign. I did think about that. Would he resign and give it to Jonathan Kraft, his son, which he's kind of almost in the process of doing anyway, it feels like, at 76 years old. But, again, more conversation about Robert Kraft, big sports story in the sports world here on a Friday. Talk about a Friday news drop.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the kind of Friday news drop the New England Patriots wanted. That's for sure. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane, former Jags player, scheduled for an MMA fight now on March 16th. Good thing we have that. Can't wait to talk about that in the lead up. And Kuz is with us here on a Friday as well on ESPN 690. Happy to be joined right now by Richard Burton, who recently wrote a book on high school football in the state of Florida. And so I reached out and asked if he could come on because I saw one of the things that, first of all, I think it would be pretty cool to get some of the stories. But the other part of this is it's selling really well. I think he said in Texas and also right here in Jacksonville. Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Doing well, guys. How you doing, Brent and Austin?
Doing good, man. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, give us the lowdown. Tell us a little bit about the book, but I'm really curious to why Jacksonville is one of the top-selling cities when it comes to it.
Well, basically, it's called Seeds of Greatness, and it's got all 4,000 playoff games ever played in state of Florida history recapped. It's got a record book, all the top 10 polls, all the wins over number one ranked teams, all the district tiebreakers that took place throughout since the playoff system began in 1963. And I think the big reason it's selling so well in Jacksonville is just how good high school football has been, in Duval County for such a long time, especially this past season with Raines and Mandarin both winning state championships. Mandarin's Carson Beck last year broke the all-time tournament passing yardage and touchdown pass record that was held by Ja'Cory Harris previously. And then Raines' defense, they had the second best defensive effort over a 4-game span ever since the postseason began back in '63. So a lot of good things. I think a lot of positive signs. I think people really like reading about high school football, especially when they're really successful.
Yeah, Seeds of Greatness is the name of the book. And what prompted you to do this? Obviously, you're covering high school football. You know all about high school football. But why now? Why this?
Well, I was about 7 years ago, actually, when it started. I was in the Panhandle. I was working as the sports information director for the College of Central Florida. We had gotten the state basketball tournament, and I was putting together the record book for that. So I'm up there in Fort Walton Beach in the library, and I'm over a couple days span. I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, junior college basketball isn't as popular as a lot of things. I'm like, what if I try to do this about high school football in the state of Florida, get all the playoff games together? And I looked around, and Florida doesn't really have a website or anything like that. Georgia, Alabama, Texas have really, really good websites. And I kind of got me thinking. I was like, hey, might as well start going over some stuff. And the second day, instead of researching basketball, I started researching football and the 1983 to 85 Baker Gators, who won 3 state championships in a row. And that's kind of where it started. It was up in the Panhandle with that idea, basing it off the junior college record book. I said, hey, football is king in Florida, so let's go for it.
I'm from Rhode Island, so we don't have great high school football up there. I can tell you that. Austin's from Wisconsin. I bet they do have some pretty good high school football. But I've worked in Louisiana, I've worked in Ohio, and I've also worked in New York. But I think Louisiana, Ohio, there's some fantastic high school football. But to me, there's still nothing like this. I mean, the state of Florida is unbelievable. And I haven't ventured to the parts that you're even talking about and you've been to, Richard. So Jacksonville, to me, is awesome. I've been here more than a decade. The talent is only getting better and better. We obviously have the likes of a guy like Tim Tebow coming out of here that transcends high school football, college football across all platforms. But is there an underrated area of high school football in the state of Florida that many people might not name off? If I rattle off some South Florida schools, absolutely. Even Jacksonville, I think, will get that kind of credit. Central Florida, Orlando area, certainly will. What are we missing? Where did you find a sweet spot that few people talk about?
I'd say over the years, I mean, even in Gainesville, I mean, Alachua County for so many years had great teams. How many professionals came out of there? I mean, Chris Doring, Mike Peterson, players like that, Mike Peterson at Santa Fe, Shea Showers, they were on the same state championship team. The Buchholz teams of that era, Gainesville High School with Clinton Portis and just players like that. Just tremendous teams over the years in Alachua County for the most part. Even Marion County, where I'm located, a lot of people don't really realize how good the talent is. You had Dante Culpepper play at Ocala Vanguard. Cortez Allen played for the Steelers. Scott Brantley was the number one player in the nation coming out of high school in 1975 out of Ocala Forest. So, that's one area that a lot of people really didn't look at for sure. But you're right. I mean, Jacksonville is just tremendous. Look at Raines. Raines has more more NFL players, I believe, than any team, any program in Florida since the draft began. I mean, just tremendous players, definitely in that area.
Hey there, Richard. So, as I was in school in Wisconsin, in high school and whatnot, I played football, obviously. Ended up, thankfully making it to the league. But it was always the fact that it always seemed that Miami had like the best athletes, they had the best football teams, at least when I was in high school. Have you noticed kind of a shift from, like the southern Florida states to more, like the Jacksonvilles and the Orlandos? Or has it always been like that? I guess just Miami got more publicity for whatever reason.
What happened through the 80s, it was in the Panhandle. I mean, the Panhandle was like winning state championship after state championship. And then around, I would say in the early 90s, you started seeing the South Florida teams win. If you go back to the 80s, in the largest classification, Miami was 0-5 in the championship games. But then you started seeing Miami Northwestern, Carroll City. They started winning back-to-back championships. You had Southridge, Killian, Norland, and it really has shifted down there, in everything as far as the larger schools. But I'll tell you, you go and you got Raines in 4A, you have Trinity and Bowles in 3 to 5A at times. I mean, they can play with anybody as well. When Booker T, Washington had its big run, Bowles was the only one that could knock them off in the championship game. But you are correct, though. It really is, a South Florida dominated thing. But you're starting to see it pop up in some areas. A lot of the private schools are really good down in South Florida, and that makes it really tough. You're playing some pretty good all-star teams at that time.
Richard Burton with us here on ESPN 690. Recently wrote a book, Seeds of Greatness, all about high school football in the state of Florida. It's available on Amazon and BookBaby, if I have that correct. Give us a nugget or two from the book without giving away too much, because everybody can go read it and find it. That just was like, wow. When you come across some of that stuff and you're like, holy cow, I did not know that. Is there something that resonates with you with all the research you did for it?
I'll tell you, the one thing is the person who's in the forward is Jack Youngblood. And to me, he's like John Wayne in cleats. I mean, playing for the Rams for 15 years, playing on a broken leg in the Super Bowl and everything. And one of the things that surprised me was when I interviewed him, he had no scholarship offers to that point. They won the state championship in '66 over Avon Park, and he's like he was basically set to go to North Florida Community College and study, probably be a teacher and coach, I believe is what he said he wanted to do. And from there, David Fuller, who was the baseball coach at UF, came up and he was recruiting the Panhandle for the football team. He said, "Hey, would you like to go to the University of Florida to Jack Youngblood?" And Jack Youngblood, he said he had his arm around his girlfriend. He was just thinking about, partying later and celebrating the championship. And he's like, "Heck yeah, I want to play for the Gators."
Hey, by the way, Richard, he hasn't stopped doing that since.
That's true.
He's awesome. He is a tremendous guy. I love talking to Jack Youngblood. We'll see him at the Super Bowls. And not to interrupt your conversation, but remind us of the high school he went to, because few people know this. He was born in Jacksonville.
Right. And he wound up playing at Monticello, Jefferson County. And another weird stat about that, in Super Bowl 14, he played. He's playing left defensive end for the Rams. He's going against the guy, the right tackle for Pittsburgh, was a gentleman by the name of Larry Brown, who also was from Jacksonville. Wound up playing at Bradford High School, and they went one-on-one in the Super Bowl. You got two guys who won state championships for their respective programs in '66 going up against each other, and Larry Brown was actually the first Floridian to ever score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He caught a touchdown for the Steelers as a tight end in Super Bowl VII. So just the fact that, that's kind of where I got Seeds of Greatness from, just kind of, how they grew into these great, professional players. And Larry played over a decade with the Steelers. So, just stuff like that was really interesting to me, and all kind of bizarre stats that I found. I mean, Madison County averaging 11.7 yards per carry over a 5-game span in the playoffs. Just stuff like that I found that interested me, and it was really, really cool to see just how good some of these teams were.
Richard, I have to ask you, what is your take on schools such as like the IMG Academy, where they're like a boarding school, but they're specializing in sports? Is that good for high school, bad for high school? What do you think?
I don't like it personally. I figure, I think where you're located is where you should play. I don't like the super team concept. I did a book presentation in Live Oak this past Monday, And, they won 4 state championships from 87 to 90. And I know every single young man that played there was from Live Oak, Suwannee County. So I just think, I don't like the super teams and it takes away from the high school football experience to me because they don't get to play for a championship at all. They're done once game 10's over. So I really have never been an IMG type. I'm not a fan of it. I like the homegrown talent. I like, people to stick together and do something together because, it's great memories, people you grew up with and you want to be successful with them.
Amen to that.
Yeah, talking high school Florida football, high school football with Richard Burton, who recently penned Seeds of Greatness, a new book out you can get on Amazon and BookBaby, a fascinating look at the state of Florida and some of the historic numbers and stories from this great state of Florida and high school football on Friday nights. Just another minute or so here, Richard. Where does Corky Rogers rank? I know numbers-wise, but when you're going through this, it's not just Corky Rogers in terms of great coaches. So where is Corky Rogers from Bowles, and where is Bowles in general in terms of best high school football programs of all time?
In this state, for sure, Bowles would be number one because and Coach Rogers would be number one because, and the stat I use is wins over ranked opponents, and they won over 80 games against ranked opponents during his tenure. And Bowles, they had Bill Borg and a couple of the other coaches who led them to their first championship in '86. They had a few more. So Bowles and St. Thomas Aquinas are the 2 top teams as far as wins over ranked opponents. And then, all the championships that Corky Rogers led the Bulldogs to. And then, and then Robert E. Lee in the 80s. I mean, they had a year where they gave up less than 200 yards rushing during a regular season.
Crazy.
Only to run into Emmitt Smith in round 2 of the playoffs in a multiple overtime game. So, I mean, he's easily the best. And Bowles, as far as beating ranked opponents for their level, is tremendous. And then St. Thomas Aquinas. And, the top public school statewide is Bradenton Manatee as far as wins over ranked opponents, but not as many recently. But Bowles has just been so consistent and so dominant over the years. And Coach Rogers, with Lee and Bowles, I mean, just fabulous seasons.
All right, two last things. Are you coming to Jacksonville to talk about it anytime soon? And maybe I missed it. You might have been here already. Tell us about that. And also, do you think this will be the historical reference guide, if you will, the encyclopedia for high school football in the state of Florida?
Have something in the works, working on a few things, hopefully soon, hopefully within the next couple weeks, put an announcement out about it. And yes, definitely. My goal is to get it on every high school football coach's or athletic director's shelf and have it be a go-to for the playoffs because it's got everything that you could possibly want to know about every game, every stat, and hopefully people get a lot of use out of it for years to come.
Awesome. Richard Burton, you can follow him at FLFB Records on Twitter, and go check out the new book, Seeds of Greatness. And pretty cool, man. I know that probably took an enormous amount of work, so a labor of love, but congratulations on the new book, and I think everybody around here for years to come will be checking it out.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
You bet. Richard Burton talking about his new book, Seeds of Greatness. Hey, listen, we live in a fantastic – don't ever lose sight of that. Don't take it for granted. I mean, from baseball to football to all these other different sports, but football Friday nights in the state of Florida.
For sure.
You can talk Texas all you want.
Well, and that dude knows his stuff, too. I mean, it's crazy just like the knowledge that he's gained over researching and whatnot. Yeah, that guy knows his stuff for sure.
And that's a cool thing. Like, think about 20 years from now, these kids that are playing right now, they'll go back and if they're not reading it already, they'll read about themselves someday maybe in it. So I think that, and then someday will have to be updated, of course, down the road. But good for Richard Burton. I wanted to get him on. I thought it'd be pretty cool to talk about it, and he just showed you Corky Rogers and Bowles, just how big they've been statewide.
He should have stuck to just maybe covering like a state like Rhode Island, I guess, because it'd be a shorter book and man, a lot less research.
Would have been 12 pages. That's it. As long as they threw the East Providence Townies in there.
There we go.
Hey, coming up next, is the combine a waste of time? Next on ESPN 690.
News 104.5 WOKV is now exclusively on 104.5 FM. News 104.5 WOKV is where you'll find the latest breaking news, First Alert Storm Center coverage, and traffic alerts. 690 is where you'll find the home of the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN 690, featuring Golick and Wingo in the morning, Dan Levitard, and Stephen A. Smith. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
Hi, everyone. This is Allie McNeil from the Best Bet Poker Rooms in Jacksonville and Orange Park. WPT Deep Stacks returns to Jacksonville March 1st. The series features 12 total events with the main event guaranteeing over $300,000. Satellite into the $1,500 main event for as little as $85. Pick up all the bragging rights and cash. Plus, make your claim to fame in this year's WPT Deep Stack Series. Satellites run now through March 9th. For all tournament information, visit them on the web at bestbetjacks.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martin of Action Sports Jacks here to talk to you about my good friends, the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. They built this new dealership from the ground up, and they did it with you in mind, and it's a beautiful facility. Their focus is getting you into the car you want at an affordable price, and that's where their no-risk, no-pressure approach comes in. If you buy a vehicle from Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and you're not 100% satisfied with your purchase, you can bring the vehicle back within the first 7 days for your money back. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with Jenkins' exclusive lifetime warranty. You can drive a Hyundai. Put a Hyundai in your family like we have in our family. And take it from me, my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville will treat you right. Go check out the showroom. Visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with the Jenkins exclusive lifetime warranty. Make sure you tell them Brent from Action Sports Jacks sent you.
The spread and that college-style offense. Listen, in 3 years, you might see the Big 12 be run by the NFL because it's the exact same kind of offense that's going on here.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Trey Wingo from Golick and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with our friend Brent Martineau.
All right, NFL Combine Week coming up. And by the way, Dwayne Haskins will throw at the Combine. Hey, kids, just throw.
That's
just
crazy.
Throw.
But hey, that's actually some pretty big news.
Yeah, is it?
It is.
Why?
So traditionally, quarterbacks don't throw at the Combine, especially guys that are ranked pretty high, because the Combine is an environment where they don't set you up to succeed, I guess. Sorry, the music turning off kind of threw me off a little bit for a second. No, I mean, that's not your fault, Kuz. It just threw me off. But
I didn't know if it was that or the avocado he's eating.
Well, that too. Yeah, I'm trying to swallow while I'm trying to talk. It's not that easy. But anyway, so getting back to the Combine, it's a setup where you're not supposed to succeed because everything's going against you. You're getting 5 hours of sleep. You're getting guys poking, prodding at you every which direction. Psychological evaluations that are just off the charts crazy sometimes. I'm not sure if they changed since I was there, but when I was there, it was insane.
We are going to get into that next week.
Okay, yeah. So there's just a lot of things going against you.
If you're psychologically okay.
Yeah. So, I kind of feel some kind of way towards the Combine, how I was treated, but we'll get into that later. But
a tease for stories next week.
But when it comes to Haskins, like, listen, we know he's probably going to be the top quarterback picked. So him stepping up and saying, yeah, I want to do everything I want to throw, it tells me that he has confidence in his abilities. And in a quarterback, confidence is key. So the fact that he's saying, yeah, I'm going to throw, I'm going to do everything, that's a good sign for me, at least, because not every quarterback does that.
In sports, right, we talk about getting in the arena and competing and even in being uncomfortable. And evaluators love to put you in spots where you're uncomfortable. If you're a pitcher and you're going to be recruited and scouted, they want to see you in a bases-loaded jam with one out and how you work out of that thing. Well, this is their version of that. Mm-hmm. You don't have everything going your way. You haven't had proper sleep. You really don't know what you're to expect. You don't have guys catching the ball. They want to see you. But I think above that, it's almost not important. You can use the excuses later. But I do think for some guys, for some GMs and scouts, it's got to stick in their head, wait, this guy didn't even want to compete here? He didn't want to? He wanted to be comfortable? What does that say about my guy that I'm bringing in here to be the franchise QB, that he wants to be comfortable, especially this day and age, right, with what we at least label the young player is he wants everything perfect. Well, listen, in January at Denver in a playoff game, it's not going to be perfect, man. It's going to be tough. So listen, one nod to give Blake Bortles. He's like, I'll throw on a cruise ship if you want. I'll throw anywhere. It doesn't matter. And he did it at the Combine. I think it actually helped him a little bit. It at least helped him. I understand what you're saying. But to me, there wasn't. It's okay that I'm glad he's throwing. I think all should say yes.
Yeah.
I think they all should say yes.
Well, and do you think it turns up the heat on Kyler Murray a little bit now,
I think
too,
so.
that he has to throw
Absolutely.
as well?
If you're 1 and 2 like that. The rest
Yeah.
of them, not so much. But the Kyler Murray part, I think it does. I think it dials up that a little bit. Said, all right, let's see what you got, kid. But and that's even better, right? If I'm Haskins, I'm confident in my abilities. I can't wait to get on the board. Can't wait to get in an interview room. Can't wait to get on the field and show what I've got. And he's got to feel good about himself because he already knows everybody's watching that height thing with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
They're watching the weight.
Yeah.
They're watching the interviews and seeing if he's committed and he's all in. So he's got to feel good about going to the Combine and being compared to Kyler Murray. And I think, again, there's a huge drop after that, or at least a decent drop, where he's probably not worried about the rest of the guys in terms of the evaluation.
Speaking of Kyler Murray, did you see what Vegas has him right now for his 40-yard dash time?
No.
Over-under?
What is it?
4.37.
4.37 over-under?
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
I think so, right? I mean, electronically timed? That sounds like a pretty generous stopwatch time at Oklahoma, but who knows? I mean, that's game-changing speed if it's true.
I always ask this. Is it, though, at a quarterback level? I mean, like what? It's different speed. I get it. You can get away from those linemen easy. You can get away from the linebackers. It's elusive stuff.
Yeah.
And he does look like he plays that fast. I will say that. Like,
True.
he's a guy that we talk about with receivers, like 4.4, do you play that fast? But he does look like he plays that fast. I mean, he looks like he's in a video game half the time. All right, here, I teased this. I got to deliver on it.
Good call.
I think the Combine's dumb.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to the Combine first time.
Have fun.
I can tell you, I've debated for the last 5 or 6 years. And I've just said, for a lot of it was for me, I didn't think it was a great TV event. I don't really know from a TV perspective what I can't get from being right here in Jacksonville that I can get there. I think the radio ads, I think we can be up there. We can do some interviews. The Jags, we haven't talked to Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell in a while. We're going to see them next week. So I don't need to tell you my plan, but I'm just telling you what I was thinking about it. I also know that it's a big networking thing, right? It's like the Final Four for basketball coaches. Why do they go? Because it's like this convention. It's you name your convention for teachers or for steel workers or for graphic artists or whatever. And that's what this is for NFL people, whether it's GMs, scouts, coaches, people that cover the league. And that's where we fit in. Yeah. And so it's networking. People always say it's a really good event for networking. Networking, get to meet people. I get it. That's cool. I mean, there's an element of that in our business that's important, by the way. But it's really hard to tell my bosses I need to go up there to make friends rather than cover it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I've always been, 50-50 on the Combine from that standpoint. And that's why I think all of us in the media blow this Combine up and say, this is a big deal. This is what a convention in Indianapolis. This is where everybody goes. And so we can do that in the media, and then we can go back to the sports editor or the news director or everybody else and say, hey, we really need to be there. Everybody else is there, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it's gotten this big, in my opinion. But and that's fine, whatever. What I'm telling you is, in my view, I think there is very little movement on draft boards from the NFL Combine. The weight, the bench press, the 40, the throwing or running or receiving, or I always say the interview room's most important. And at least in the medical chart is very important here. Like the doctors for all the teams are there so you can do MRIs. So I do think the interview and the medical part all in one place is important for the teams.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, outside of the medical where you wouldn't catch anything, I think guys are not moving up and down draft boards at all coming out of Indianapolis next week.
Al Davis would beg a differ back in the day.
Why?
Because it was all about speed for him. He literally would watch the 40-yard dash, see, all right, Darius Haywood-Bay ran the fastest 40. He's a Raider.
Yeah, how did he do?
I mean, Brent, I'm not attesting that that's the way you should do it, but I'm saying some guys put a lot of stake in that 40-yard dash. Some guys put a lot of stake in that broad jump. I mean, what was the cat from Connecticut? Byron Jones, right? Went to the Cowboys. He made a name for himself. I think he set the record for broad jump. It was like 12 something, if I'm not mistaken. might have been like a world record or something like that. So every once in a while, you're going to get a guy that just does something so freakishly. Vernon Davis, great example. I mean, did the world know who Vernon Davis was from Maryland until he got to the Combine? I didn't know who he was. I'm not sure if you did or not. So every once in a while, you're going to come across a guy, Chris Johnson, another great example. 4'2", Brent. Did you know Chris Johnson out of college from Eastern Carolina? I didn't.
But you think, I guess the point there is, do you think he jumped up draft boards after that 4-2? Do you think he did get on radars that people didn't know? I mean, we know where everybody lives now. We know what time they're on their phone. We know we're going to a pro day. And again, convenience is a big factor here, right? I don't have to go to South Carolina, Florida State, Miami, and check all these kids out. They're all right here.
Yeah.
I get that part of it. I'm just saying the relevance of these numbers, to me, doesn't change their... Now, I'll give you another example. I'll talk against myself here a little bit. Shaquem Griffin.
True.
He might have got drafted, so it does help some. He might have been drafted in the 5th round because of the Combine, and he was a late ad. So, I mean, I guess I'm arguing against myself. In some respects, it works. I think if you looked at the Jags, if you could peek in the Jags board right now, and you looked at it, and it's had the top 100 players, I think if we look at it in 2 weeks, I think it will say the same.
It's like
outside
you said,
of the medical charts.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. So there's always outliers. Yes, there's going to be the Griffins. There's going to be the Vernon Davises who maybe show up and just absolutely blow the doors off, and all of a sudden the guy's like, well, we have to watch some more film on this guy because look what he ran, look what he bench pressed, whatever. So I think there's always some cases where a guy makes a name for himself and teams have to go back, watch some more film, and maybe that player moves higher on their board. But like I said before, I think the Combine is set up for players to fall more than rise, because at the Combine it's a high stressful situation where if players don't pass all the physical tests and all the mental tests, then obviously they're going to fall on that draft board. So I think the Combine's a place where you're set up to fail and move down draft boards more than actually go up the draft boards.
And I'm going to find out firsthand next week. Maybe I have a different opinion on it by the time I come back next week.
So say that you run the 40-yard dash. Brent, what are you running these days?
4.8.
Generous. That's generous, Brent.
Okay, 4.9. Broad jump was yours, right?
Oh, yeah, that was mine. Yep.
We're going to get into your Combine experience. All right. Hey, ESPN690.com. If you want to go to the players, you can win tickets to the Captain's Club. Check it out, ESPN690.com. Robbie Tebow joins us next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football isn't the only thing the folks on the Patriots get caught cheating on. Police to our south down in Jupiter, Florida, releasing a statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft being busted at a prostitution ring on video.
It appears when you go to the spa for a half hour, the fee would be $59. For an hour, that would be $79. The video contained Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged acts. The answer to that is yes.
So now the country waits with bated breath for that video to leak, and until then, we're just left burning this horrible image into our innocent minds. The University of Texas has suspended their leading scorer for what they're calling a violation of team rules. Kerwin Roach, currently averaging 15 a game for the Longhorns. This is his second suspension of the season, his third of his college career. And this weekend, the Seminoles travel to Raleigh to take on the streaking Tar Heels while the Gators are at home against Mizzou. Stream us from your phone or computer anytime. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit listen live.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And right now, take up to $10,000 off the 19 new body-style Silverado crew cabs and up to $12,000 off the 19 previous body Silverados. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
New appliances can do wonders for a kitchen. Right now at the Home Depot, they'll also do wonders for a kitchen budget with up to 30% off appliance special buys, like the 4-piece stainless steel Samsung kitchen suite, up to $1,800 off. Fridge, gas range, microwave, dishwasher, all at once, just in time for dinner. Up to 30% off appliance special buys now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Electric range available at extra cost. Valid through February 27th.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the only $5 meal worthy of your appetite? Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. Our classic Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is now bigger, with double the fresh, never frozen beef and double the Applewood smoked bacon. There's nothing junior about it except the price. Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal comes with nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5. Get the $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal at Wendy's. Giant Meal, junior price.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The owner of the New England Patriots, 77-year-old Robert Kraft, is one of 25 people to be charged after a long investigation into an illicit massage parlor in Jupiter, Florida. Kraft is charged with 2 counts of soliciting prostitution. How will the NFL handle this story? ESPN's Adam Schefter.
No matter what happens legally, is in all probability going to have to take action, because the league has talked about time and time again, anybody who brings unwanted attention.
A Kraft spokesman categorically denies that the Patriots owner has been involved in any illegal activity. Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim will coach tomorrow night's game against Duke. Boeheim's car struck and killed a man in a highway accident just hours after the team's win against Louisville Wednesday night. Vanderbilt extends the contract of football coach Derek Mason. In 5 years coaching the Commodores, Mason is only the second coach in program history to take the team to multiple bowl games.
The Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is only at Wendy's. Get double the fresh, never frozen beef and 4 strips of Applewood smoked bacon alongside 4-piece nuggets, small fries, and a small drink for the junior price of $5. Available at participating U.S. Wendy's for a limited time. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Taren drinks van good tips dan skran van.
What?
That's for my people back in Norway.
Yeah, that was a Norway edition of it. Very
Grab a
nicely
drink,
done.
get a shot, tip your bartenders. Yeah,
very good. Happy hour horn on a Friday. Hope you're getting out of work early. Hope you're having a good week, everybody. Get into the weekend here on ESPN 690. Glad to have you along up until 6 o'clock, and then hopefully you have a beautiful weekend ahead. I think this next guy is going to have a fantastic night, at least, because it's a big night for the Tebow family. Robbie Tebow joins us right now. He and Tim helped produce a movie. They're now in the movie business, and it's called Run the Race, and it debuts tonight. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Brent? How you doing, buddy?
Man, it's been a long time. I was thinking this today. I can't remember the last time I saw you. You guys are all over the world, but it's been a while.
Probably that time where I took a little bit of your money on the golf course, man. I don't know. I mean, you got a short-term memory now. You're forgetting these things.
I was thinking it was the time that I did that flag football story on you, like back in 2009.
One of your best pieces, man. I loved it.
Hey, where are you? I know you were on a plane earlier, so where are you watching the debut of Run the Race tonight?
Man, actually just flew in. We had an event in Dallas on Wednesday, an event in Birmingham where we shot the movie last night, which was amazing, and just landed about an hour ago in Orlando. So back in home state of Florida, and we got a screening here tonight that I'll be showing up at and hanging out with a bunch of people, so it'll be fun.
So it's in theaters across the country tonight. Run the Race is the name of the movie. You got to give us a little bit of back, and make sure I'm correct on it. You and Tim produced this?
Yeah, we're both executive producers on the film, and it's kind of been a really cool story and a journey for us, to be honest with you, because we never set out to get into the movie business. We found this script in 2013, around this time, 6 years ago in 2013, and really fell in love with it, fell in love with the story, and just wanted to figure out a way to use the vehicle in the medium of entertainment to tell a positive message, an inspirational message. And so we kind of just set on this journey 6 years ago, and it's taken a little while to get here, but throughout this process, it's been incredible to be here right now, because I think we have a great movie that I think people will really like, and it'll relate to a lot of people no matter where they're at in their life. So we're excited about it, man. It's been a fun journey, and here we are. Yeah, technically in the movie business.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen a lot of the reaction already. People have got a sneak peek at it, and good thoughts about the movie, good reviews already. So I know there's what's today like for you guys, or this weekend? Because I think in the movie business, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't been in it, but the early reviews are important, right? The early takes on getting to the theater and watching it maybe this first weekend or next weekend is a big deal to kind of keep it in the movies and really get it pushed up the charts a bit, right?
It is important. It's definitely important. We feel really good about where we're at. And, people ask me all the time, like, hey, are you nervous? And it's like, you're not, it's a different type of feeling, because it's not like you're about to go out and play a game or act in a play where you have, the editing's been done. So the movie is the movie. So, whenever you do something and you put it out there for everybody to see, you definitely are in a vulnerable position, because you don't dictate what people feel about it or if they go and see it. And, we put a lot of hard work and effort behind this, and we feel like we have a great movie that people will really enjoy. But, you can't dictate how people think or how they feel. And so, it's I guess there'll be some anxious moments throughout the weekend, but it's fun, because we've done all we can do at this point, and we just hope that people like it.
Hey there, Robbie. Austen Lane here. I wanted to ask, what was it about this movie that kind of drew you guys to it? Because obviously, I mean, I'm sure you've had some choices of some other movies as well. What about this story and just, things that go on in this movie that really inspired you guys to, take on this project?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually, Austin. We'd had several, actually probably looked at, a dozen or two scripts, during the course of, while before we, found this one. And actually my good friend, Trey Brunson, who, when I was living in Jacksonville right after college, was the one that introduced me to Jake McIntyre, who wrote the screenplay. And again, we weren't really looking to get into the movie business and had passed on a lot of opportunities. But I think what really resonated with me and Timmy was the fact that, this movie is about two brothers, and although it's a fictional story and it's not based on our, on our lives, there was a lot of, big things about the relationship and about family and about, what they do together and how they battle together and fight for one another, through the midst of a lot of things. And so there was a lot of big points that resonated with us, and overall the script was just incredible. And so what we tried to do, honestly, at that point was we wanted to tell, a story, and we wanted to make it real and honest and gritty and something that people could relate to. Because I think there's kind of a stigmatism, even in movies that have a faith, based message that's just not on a certain level of production, and it's not necessarily that good. And, I'll be honest with you and say, there's a lot of, movies out there that might have a great message that just aren't done that well. And so we just set out, and one of the reasons it's taken us 6 years is we were very meticulous on how this thing was shot and how it was made and produced. And so it was just important for us to tell a real story that was gritty and honest. And because we felt like if that was the case, people could resonate with that, because a lot of people can't relate to, a Heisman Trophy that my brothers won, but people can relate to, to real life situations and going through, tough times and struggle. And so, it's a story about that. And so we're proud of it.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I gathered by, kind of reading up on this story, is the fact that, it is a football movie per se, but it's kind of for the whole family, because there's some great stories in there. There's some great life lessons that anybody can really take from the movie, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, there's a lot of different, whether you're a young kid or an adult, a mom, a dad, a parent, wherever you're at, a coach, there's a lot of different parts of this that, it's more than brothers, it's family. It's really what, the power that if you believe in somebody and if you have somebody's back and you're just there for somebody, the power of that, you never know what that can become if you back somebody and you believe in them. And that's really the core message of this movie is the power of relationships and love and family. And when you get behind somebody and just be there for somebody to encourage them, what can, be accomplished from that. And you really don't know until you're there and you're, just that piece of support. And so it's cool because, there's a lot of those things that we've gone through in our lives. And so, that was one of the things that jumped out to us for sure.
Run the Race debuts tonight across America in theaters, and go check it out. Robbie Tebow, who's joining us right now on ESPN 690, and his brother Tim helped produce this movie, and it's been in the works for more than a handful of years. So exciting night for them in a new genre of things for the Tebow family. I was going to ask you about that. You've had a front row seat to a lot of this stuff at times, but at the same time, as everybody gets older, their lives separate a little bit. Did this kind of bring you and Tim back maybe to a place that you hadn't been in a few years because you had to work together on it like that? How do you think?
We've always been really close. Actually, our family is really close, and all of our siblings are close, and we're all kind of spread out around the country and the world for that matter. And so we're very intentional about spending time and hanging out with one another. And so, but I think, to your question, Brent, I think being collaborative together on a project like this was really, really cool to work together and be creative together and just go through the process together. And I think it definitely was, just an extra opportunity to bond in a different way. And so it's been amazing to have his support and to kind of be there and just go through this amazing journey together. And so, yeah, it was pretty cool.
All right. A couple more questions, and I'll let you get going. I know you got a busy night ahead, but if I was producing a movie, I'd want to be like, okay, I'm sticking my buddy over there as an extra. I'm doing this. I want this. So
absolutely.
Did you get to do some of that? And do you watch that thing and you're like, hey, there's Johnny. I went to school with him.
For sure. No doubt about it. Actually, there's a few scenes where we put some extras, and actually one of the scenes I put my sister and her two girls in one of the scenes, and and they're right there in the back, and it's, unless you knew them, you wouldn't, that wouldn't jump out to you, but it meant a lot to her and her, young daughters. And so, I mean, those things are really fun when you have the opportunity to do it, but absolutely. you gotta throw some cameos out there, man.
That's right. So you said you shot this in Birmingham?
We did. We shot in Birmingham.
That's like enemy territory,
It is, but there's a big Florida Gator tie in there too. So it's we shot in Birmingham. Technically, it's Bessemer, Florida, which is a totally fictitious town.
Okay, that's good. Hey, one last thing for you: have you bought season tickets to the Mets yet? How confident do you think?
Okay, here we go. You're spoiler alert right here.
This is exciting, right? Exciting year for the family, right? And everything. Seeing where this thing lands in 2019.
Man, it's really, really exciting, and I'll the honest answer is I haven't bought season tickets, but I can promise you, I'm one flight away when he gets that call, and I will be there that night, and it'll be an amazing night, and I will predict that that's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
If you want that, there's your sound bite, buddy.
Nah, that's it, man. I think we'll all root for that, and hopefully it happens. And I think, you won't be the only one on that flight from Jacksonville.
I love it.
If it happens, but we'll keep an eye on. Hey, this is pretty cool, man.
Not if. That's the wrong way to put it.
That's a very good point. Very good. When Run the Race debuts tonight across America. Congratulations, man. This is kind of cool.
Thank you, buddy, man. Good to talk to you guys. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. Been doing a lot of talking recently, but go check it out tonight, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Thanks, man. Good catching up with you. Robbie Tebow joining us on ESPN 690. That's pretty cool. And grab your popcorn and go check it out. Run the Race. Good family movie. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, good to catch up with Robbie. It seriously has been a few years, I think, since I've seen Robbie. They are gallivanting all over the globe.
Yeah. Good for them, man. Doing big things, obviously, with Tim doing his baseball career now and making movies, man. Sky's the limit for the Tebow, sounds like.
And we'll see where it lands, but go check it out. Run the Race. When we come back, how about a little balling and falling? Tebows are balling. That's for sure.
Yeah.
On ESPN 690 next.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
When you get hurt, you feel like everything is put on hold. And
here's Hunter Scantling to talk about his experience with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
When it comes to injuries like that, you gotta make sure you get the best advice, the best surgeon. And luckily, I was recommended to go to Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, and the office was awesome, very nice. Everybody there made me feel at home. Everybody's been spot on.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and cannot pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank accounts and garnish your wages. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Recently voted the best tax attorney in Jacksonville by Folio Weekly readers and selected as an ultimate tax attorney by the Jacksonville Business Journal. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they'll resolve your tax issue. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away, also online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you by calling this number again, 904-507-4777, or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
If Dell Demps had moved Anthony Davis as general manager for the New Orleans Pelicans, he would have been fired. You had teams in smaller markets on the phone calling him, imploring him not to capitulate to the demands.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
All right, fun catching up with Robbie Tebow, and of course we'll keep an eye on Tim Tebow in terms of spring training and where that ends up landing. Right now, looks like AAA for Tim, and maybe gets that call, that one phone call away now from the big leagues and the New York Mets. Brett Martin along with Austen Lane, Justin Couzart. Couz on a Friday. Got big plans on the weekend or what, Couz?
Trying to hit the beach. I hear it's going to be kind of nice out.
It's been pretty warm. It's beach-like.
Yeah.
How about you go see the new Spider-Man before it leaves theaters forever?
I could go see the new Spider-Man.
Right after Run the Race.
Yeah. After that movie. Is that playing in Jack? I mean, I assume it's playing in Jacksonville, obviously, but
I don't know which theater. I got to look that one up. But.
Okay. I would go, but we're going to see How to Train Your Dragon.
Do you think Monday Couz comes in and he's like fried, sunburned?
From the sun? Depends where you're going. Are you going to the Lemon Bar? Where are you going, Couz?
It always happens. Literally the first time I go to the beach every year, no matter how much sunscreen I put on, lobster every time.
Hey, maybe the beach just wasn't made for you, man.
Well, I'm fine after the first one. You just got to get that first burn in,
Well, or else you're going to go see Spider-Man. The choice is yours. I'm not trying to sway you one way or another.
Maybe I'm able to do both.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
Fantastic. All right, how about a little balling and falling on a Friday?
Let's do it. Balling. Got to go with my boy, Tyson Alualu.
Hey, 2-year deal.
Yes, signed a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then this is a quote from Tyson. Tyson said that he's blessed to be able to come back and play for an organization that he loves to be around from the top to the bottom, from management to my teammates. I'm thankful to get something done and will be part of the group chasing a trophy for a few more years.
That's interesting. Now, we just talked to Robbie Tebow, obviously Tim Tebow's brother, and 2010, you came out that year. Tyson Alualu came out that year.
Yep.
Tebow comes out that year, and the big story around here was Tebow, and you know, people were. I still believe that was a little less about Tebow and more about who is Tyson Alualu, but it kind of coincided so you could play both, especially since Tebow went in the first round.
Yeah.
But the fascinating thing is, this is a guy that now will, with these 2 years, is a decade in the NFL.
Dude, and like I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again, I feel like Tyson never really got a fair shake with a lot of the fan base here. He came in behind the 8 ball right away because he came in a situation where it wasn't his fault that he got drafted so high. Like, he didn't ask to do that. Obviously, it was good for him because he got more money. It was a guy that was active in the community, that performed very well in the field, was consistent. You never saw a lot of mistakes from Tyson. You know, I mean, playing that 3 technique too in our defense that we played at the time, it wasn't a position where there was a lot of glory, you know, as opposed to playing like a wide 9 or even the 7 technique for the defensive ends where you'd get more sacks, you'd get more tackles, whatnot. Tyson's a guy that always did his job. I'm glad he got a new contract deal because he's been playing great in Pittsburgh too. I've been watching him a little bit. And when I talk about Tyson Alualu, man, you're talking about the salt of the earth kind of dude, you know, and I've said it before on the show. This guy has done so much in the Jacksonville community that nobody knows about, and it's not my job to tell that story. If he wants to tell that story one day, maybe he will, but he's done so much in the city that people have no idea about, where it just goes to show you the type of person he is, where he would do such these great things for the community and wouldn't want any notoriety from it.
Yeah,
so
and he's that guy. He really is.
He's that guy to a T, and he's got a great family. Obviously, he's got a big family, and I met a lot of them, you know, through our years playing together in Jacksonville. So I couldn't be happier for
His
Tyson.
family's still here, right?
I believe so.
Have
Yeah.
they? I don't know. Maybe with this 2-year deal, maybe they do make the.
I think he might still have a place here, but maybe he's moving his family out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. The last I talked to him, we talked to him AFC Championship, or there in that playoff run when we were up there. And I think that's the last time I've talked to him. But it's funny you say that because I could have sworn I saw, like, this kid had to be a son of his.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know the ages. I know he's got a big family. He's got a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I forget where I was, but I mean, you know, it was like at a fast food place or something like that. And I said, I almost went up to the kid and asked. I was like, that has to be Tyson Alualu's kid.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure or not.
You should have, man. And the thing with Tyson, too, I always say he's low-key the funniest guy you're ever going to meet.
That is funny.
Yeah, like, you know, like in the beginning when you talk to him and stuff, like, he's really quiet. I'll never forget. Literally, our first interaction together was we're here for the spring, and it was like the second day of workouts. So we're meeting the teammates and whatnot, and we're doing sprints, and we're running like shuttles and back and forth and stuff. And, you know, I'm like, all right, Tyson, let's do this, man. He's like, don't talk to me, Austen. I'm like, what? That was like our first experience together because like he was trying to focus on the sprints or whatever. So I always give him crap about that because I'm like, dude, our first interaction, he told me not to talk anymore. But once you get to know him, man, once he opens up, he's one of the funniest dudes you're ever going to talk to.
And, of course, you still have it pinned, I think, on your Twitter. If you have not seen the story that Austen shared in week 1 of the radio show with Tyson Alualu in an Uber ride. Cab ride, sorry.
Yeah.
You got to go check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you just brought up another point. Now, I know we're hanging on Tyson Alualu a lot, but, like, if it's to me, it's the it's in a way the beauty and in a way the mystery of an NFL locker room. And you take a guy, like, I would not put, if I knew you and then I knew Tyson Alualu, I was like, I don't know how this is going to mesh. These are 2 different kind of personality guys, at least from my view. But my point is you have 53 of that in an NFL room, you know. And on top of that, you have usually pretty good-sized egos, you know, and sometimes a violent game. So I'm just always intrigued at the makeup of a locker room. And for people who don't realize why sometimes it doesn't go well, to me, it's pretty obvious. I mean, that's a lot of Try to get 53 people on the same page, especially when things aren't going well. That's not an easy deal to do.
Well, it kind of showed you what kind of ship Joe Cohen ran in the defensive line room, because you think about it, Brent, we had some of the biggest personalities. I mean, we had Andre Branch. We had Pot Roast, Terrence Knight, and he was another big personality. Matt Roth was here for a little bit. Jason Babin, Tyson, myself, man. You had some personalities in that room for sure.
Yeah, and to me, that's where it hit it. And Jason Babin still stays in town. I think there was a crossover. I'm pretty sure they were within about a 15-foot area of each other, the lockers.
Yeah.
But it was Babin, Jared Odrick, and Chris Clements.
Okay.
And I was like, this is a weird triangle of people. It doesn't seem to fit. Again, I don't even know the guys as well, but from what we knew, and I believe that was the case in that one room that one year, and I can kind of visualize it at the corner of the locker room. But it's a fascinating part of football.
It is, and honestly, we're talking about things I miss most about the game. It's not about playing on the field. It's not about the fan interaction. It's nothing about that. It's just about that locker room. It's about sitting in the meeting rooms, cracking jokes and whatnot. It's just that brotherhood, that camaraderie that I miss the most. And I'm sure if you ask a lot of guys that are retired now out of the league, they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, my ball and simple. LeBron James and the Lakers are down 19 to the Rockets. They come back and get it done. Welcome back, NBA. I felt like you were gone for a while. And LeBron James, now let's see if they can go on a run. I wouldn't be surprised. Only a couple games back out of a playoff spot. I still believe if you want me to bet on it, I'll take LeBron going to the playoffs. And they'll make a little bit of run here. But 29 points, 11 rebounds, and they were down by 19. That was like two different games against the Rocket team that obviously is pretty good. So that's my ballin'.
All right.
What's your fallin'?
Fallin'. David Fizdale, first-year coach of the New York Knicks, is blaming Fortnite for the issues that the Knicks are having right now. Listen, if you're an NBA coach at a professional level, are you really going to blame a video game for how your team's performing, first of all?
I think there's something to this, though.
But hang on. Yeah, Kuz, good segue. Great segue. Rookie center.
That's quite a compliment right there, Kuz.
So rookie center Mitchell Robinson actually was asked about that comment that the coach said, and he was quoted by saying this: "Me and some of the other younger players would be up until 3 a.m. playing before we had a game that day. So I can see where coach is coming from," unquote. So I'm not sure if David Fizdale is falling. I'm not sure if the rookie class or like the younger guys that play for the Knicks are falling. And maybe they're all falling as a franchise. But hey, Fizdale, you can't blame video games for your team's performance. Be a coach and take initiative. And rookie center Mitchell Robinson, don't stay up till 3 a.m. on, when you have the game the next day. That's pretty standard. Any kids listening out there, get your 8 hours in. I sound like a grandpa, but I'm being serious. Get your 8 hours in. You have to perform. Sleep is important. Sleep is for recovery.
You do have to do
Sleep is
that.
for performance. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because I'm not a sleep guy.
I know, Brent.
I don't.
I am.
But it is, again, being around sports and being around you guys. And the one that always gets me is Miles Jack.
Okay.
Miles Jack, man, he'll be right here right now, and he'll go take a nap, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if he has 5 minutes, he'll sneak a nap in.
Yeah.
And he's a big believer in it. And they tell you that down there in the building. Go take a nap. Go get a nap. Go get rest. And, it all makes sense. But to me, it's kind of like I literally feel better if I sleep 5 or 6 hours than I do if I sleep 8.
Yeah.
Like I 8, I wake up with a headache. 5 or 6 hours fits me better for whatever reason. Now, if I was an athlete, or some doctor would probably say right now, if they're listening, be like, well, you're wrong. You might think so mentally, but you're wrong.
And I'm not sure how the Jaguars still do it, but I remember when Bradley was here, he actually would stop the meetings around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. so the guys could go back to the hotel and get a full 8 hours of sleep in, as opposed to most teams in training camp where you're done at 10:30 and you only get about 6-7 hours. So there's something to be said for that, I think.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on it. Hey, my falling simply, Phil Mickelson shot a 79 in the first round, 9 over, or 8 over, sorry. That's a par 71 yesterday. And if you're wondering how the golf is going down in Mexico, Dustin Johnson has the lead. Rory McIlroy, Matt Kuchar, Sergio Garcia, that's the top 4. That's a pretty good leaderboard. Tiger Woods, 4 under through 13. He's in the top 10.
Phil Mickelson,
Tiger.
Stop doing calf raisers and we're working on that short game or something, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
Shots have been fired. I'll see you at TPC.
Yeah, and if you want to go to TPC Sawgrass and the Players Championship in the Captain's Club, go to ESPN690.com right now. Register and you can win a pair of weekly passes to the Players' Championship. More to come. Coming up next, Orlando Apollos talk after this.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football isn't the only thing the folks on the Patriots get caught cheating on. Police to our south down in Jupiter, Florida, releasing a statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft being busted at a prostitution ring on video.
It appears when you go to the spa for a half hour, the fee would be $59. For an hour, that would be $79. The video contained Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged acts. The answer to that is yes.
So now the country waits with bated breath for that video to leak, and until then, we're just left burning this horrible image into our innocent minds. The University of Texas has suspended their leading scorer for what they're calling a violation of team rules. Kerwin Roach, currently averaging 15 a game for the Longhorns. This is his second suspension of the season, his third of his college career. And this weekend, the Seminoles travel to Raleigh to take on the streaking Tar Heels while the Gators are at home against Mizzou. Stream us from your phone or computer anytime. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit listen live.
Hi, this is Stan Nagel for Energy Seal Foam Insulation. Summer's coming, guys. Remember last year when you were burning up and your electric bill was off the chain? Why not do something about it this year and call Energy Seal to come out and fix your home for you? This summer, cool off that bonus room and really be able to use it. Spray foam insulation really works. Call us today and save 25% off our summer rates. Call 888-306-3626 or look us up on the web, EnergySealToday.com. Call us now, 888-306-3626. We're Energy Seal, sealing in energy and saving you money.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks, and we know who the football team of the year is. Yep, the Patriots again. What you may not know is my friends at the brand new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville have the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. They raise that trophy. It's the new 2019 Hyundai Kona, and this is a super slick crossover utility vehicle. I encourage you to swing by the Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville showroom on Atlantic Boulevard and take a look at this new crossover utility vehicle. The Kona is offered in 4 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the Limited, and the Ultimate. Go see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and schedule a test drive and order the new Konas today. And remember, Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the 7-day money-back guarantee and offers the limited lifetime warranty. That's good anywhere in the United States. Visit the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
Sports Center updates at the top and bottom of every hour. And the latest breaking news in sports around the clock. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jacks on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jacks is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Oh, Friday's flying by here on ESPN 690. Hope you're having a heck of a work week and hopefully you're having a heck of a day and get that weekend going in style here in Jacksonville, Florida and beyond. Brent Martineau along with former Jags player Austen Lane, and Coos is here, of course, pushing all the right buttons. At least we hope so. Speaking of pushing buttons, we're pleased to be joined right now by the general manager of the Orlando Apollos, Tim Ruskell. And I think the Orlando Apollos have pushed a lot of right buttons because they're off to a 2-0 start in the new AAF. Tim, thanks for joining us and taking some time. How you doing?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic, and I know you're off to a nice start. You have to be happy with that, and we're glad to see that you'll be coming up to the Jacksonville area at least. I know it's not ideal for your football team, but coming up soon this next week, you'll be in Jacksonville and practicing in Southeast Georgia and, of course, still playing down in Orlando. Tell us a little bit about the logistics of that, and did you see this coming, months and months ago, or was this a surprise?
No, it wasn't a surprise. We thought we had it solved a couple times during the season, or the fall rather, and it's a matter of getting insurance for the players' workman's comp, which is important to any sports entity, and especially football. You guys know all of that, and we thought we had it done in terms of being able to cover the whole league, as a matter of fact. But it was Florida and the Florida laws that made it tough, and so. We started preparing and talking about it a couple months ago just to have a contingency plan if we couldn't get it done. And when the word came down that we're not there, we said, well, what's the most important thing about this league? It's the health of our players. And so we joined up with Atlanta Legends in terms of their coverage and getting workman's comp from Georgia, which means we have to have practice days in the state of Georgia to qualify. So that's why we're doing it. Logistically, it is tough, but like anything, you want to make it as good as you can so it's less of a distraction for your players and your coaches. And I think we've been able to do that by being able to house the players in Jacksonville and then make the bus ride up for practices and lifting and all the things that we need to do to get ready as a football team up in South Georgia.
Hey, Tim Ruskell, the general manager of the Orlando Apollos, with us right now on ESPN 690. I might be putting you on the spot here. I don't know this even in Orlando. Are the practices open at all to fans, or is that a closed thing?
Yeah, and for most sports entities, no matter what sport you are, they're closed. So I told someone this morning, we could practice on the moon. The fans don't care where you practice. It's where you play and what's your community. And so because we're close enough to Orlando, any like media events we need to do or community deals, we'll still be able to do that. We'll just have to be selective about it. We don't want to lose touch. But we're the only AAF team in Florida, so we're Florida's AAF team, and so it makes sense that Jacksonville was kind enough to help us out with a place, and then Camden County, Georgia, had a nice facility for us to practice.
Yeah, they have a fantastic high school facility, no doubt about it.
They really do.
And we're happy to have you a part of the Jacksonville area in some capacity. How has this been for you working with Steve Spurrier? Is he as much fun as we all know Steve Spurrier can be? And obviously, from an offensive standpoint, you guys are off to a pretty nice start in that regard.
Yes. Coach and I were together in the USFL and the Tampa Bay Bandits, and I was his college scouting director. And really, in all my 35, 40 years in pro football, I still very think fondly back on those years and just how much fun it was for the coaches and myself and for the players. And really it was just because of, giving a guy another chance. We had a territorial system in place as well, like we have in this league. So you had a lot of guys that knew each other, that played against each other in college and high school. So it was easy to get to the point where there was great chemistry. And then coach was just starting on his, throwing the ball around and doing things a little bit differently. So it's been fun to get back together with him, and it's been fun to see him get excited about the offense and come up with some new wrinkles that we've been throwing at people these first couple of weeks, and so far so good.
Hey there, Tim. Austen Lane here. So listen, injuries happen all the time, regardless of sports and everything, and injuries obviously happen in football all the time. So say a player gets hurt and you're looking to replace him. I mean, what exactly goes into that? Because there's probably some standards, some rules that you have to follow, right? You just can't bring a guy from the West Coast in. You have to stay like in a certain zone. So do you have like a short list of players that you're hoping to bring in if a guy gets hurt, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a 25-man rights list, right? And typically those are guys that are either, from our allocations, which are, most of the Florida schools, or from our pro teams, which in our case is the Tampa Bay Bucks, Dolphins, the Jets, and the Giants. And every AAF team has four pro allocations in addition to their college allocations. And so you, as you get to the end of training camp, you put the guys that you have let go, and that kind of makes it unique in that when you get let go in our training camp, it's not over. And we told all the players that you guys know our system. You didn't have a great shot at actually making the first opening roster, but we like you enough that we're going to put you on the emergency list, which kind of acts as our practice squad list.
Okay.
And so that's been where we have had to pull from when we have had injuries. And that'll be the case all year long because there's no other pool to choose from. Nobody's playing football right now. We're not touching the seniors from this past class until after May when the NFL has gone through their process. So that's the only real pool to pull from. And so you're never really let go when you let go from the AAF.
Fair enough.
Tim Ruskell, the general manager of the Orlando Apollos, with us here on ESPN 690. Tim, you got to be careful now. Austin's starting this radio career. He still thinks he's got something left in football. I think that's why he's asking these questions to you.
Tim, hey, Tim, don't worry about me, man.
That's why we're moving up to Jacksonville so I can get a 40 on it.
Secrets out.
By the way, the Orlando Apollos play tomorrow night in Orlando against Memphis, and that's Mike Singletary's team. So the Stars are out in the AAF. I do have to ask you this. Obviously, a big story, and you give us a feeling because I'm sure you've been kind of putting out fires and telling everybody to calm down all week, but I would like to get your thoughts and share with our audience. When the whole payment glitch thing came out and then $250 million investment came out, I think people split on that. People said, uh-oh, the league's in trouble. Then others said, wait a minute, $250 million. Why would somebody put that in if they thought the league was in trouble? Where is that? Can you straighten that part out for us? And where do you see the league? How healthy is the league? And is this off to as good a start at times as it looks?
Yeah, that's a great question. And all I can go by is what our people say. And, we talked to Charlie Ebersol, our founder, and our co-founder, Bill Polian. And they said even before it looked like the glitch was going to happen. And it really was a payroll glitch. We switched payroll processors, a couple of weeks before that happened, and it just wasn't ready to roll out when the players were due. And it really was their first check, right? This was the first one in terms of, playing games. And so it just wasn't ready. And so obviously when that happens, a player, he's going to be very upset, as he should be. We initially were told, well, it may happen over the weekend. It may happen that Friday, or it should happen by Tuesday. And I saw Charlie at our game against San Antonio, and he said, Tim, this is absolutely not a money thing. It's not about stability of the league. This was a glitch, and you can tell your players you're going to get paid on Tuesday, and they did. And so we were ready to go. In the meantime, they've been working for investors and recruiting investors all along, and we'll continue to do that. And that gentleman was at our game on Sunday, and that was quite the show to see. And he was, obviously very impressed. I'm sure he had already made his mind up by that time, but that didn't hurt anything. So we are stable, we're good, and it was a real boost for all of us to hear about this, to know that we can go, not just a year, but years to get this thing right and get it to be ingrained in the sports community.
As we wrap up with Tim Ruskell here, the general manager of the Orlando Apollos, you have a background that what the NFL talent looks like. Tampa Bay, right. Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago, Tennessee Titans. Do you look like we saw the league on the debut, and we had like Ryan Davis on, and by the way, we hope Ryan Davis is doing well. I don't know if you have an update on that.
He is doing well. Good. Thanks for asking. He's doing a lot better.
But he's a friend of the program, and obviously the Jags fans up here know and like Ryan Davis. But we wondered what it would look like from a speed standpoint. I think everybody came away from that opening weekend and say, oh, yeah, you know what? Not bad. Everybody's going to have their thoughts. You always have critics. But you've been around the NFL. You know what an NFL player looks like. You know what the speed of an NFL player is. How many guys do you think get a crack at the NFL, potentially make the NFL? I know it's a guess, but what do you think after watching this thing for a couple of weeks and obviously all the practices too?
Yeah, and I've done all of that, and I'm impressed with our group. And, I can only really see it thoroughly through the eyes of our team. But, we kind of have a formula in our head that we think a third of our guys will get a legitimate shot to go up to the NFL and make it and stick. And then another third will get the shot and maybe go down to that last cut and maybe be out there unless they had some practice squad eligibility. And then a third might not get a shot. And then, the next year, that last third comes back to you, for another shot if they want to, and then a sprinkling of those other guys. So maybe you get half your roster back, I think, as you would go into year two. And I think that when I talk to the other GMs, I think that's pretty consistent throughout the league. So that's pretty darn good. And, I've been impressed with a lot of guys that we've brought in. We have a nice mixture of veterans and guys that you guys know this. You can fall through the cracks of the NFL so easily. If you're, really haven't shown your stuff and you get to that time where you've got to come up with your second contract in addition to your college contract, sometimes the NFL, and I did this as a GM, you look at him and you say, this young guy is almost as good in terms of talent, and I can save this much money off the cap if I go with him as opposed to the guy that's going into the second contract. So it hurts them in a little bit that way. They just fall through the cracks. And it would be on any team because of the years that they've accrued. So we've got those guys. And then on the college, the young guys side, there's some guys that either didn't have a good pro day or they were from a smaller school or they went to a rookie minicamp and didn't get signed. So they really did not get a quality look. And we have 3 or 4 players on our team that fit that category. And you know what? When the scouts come around, they kind of feel like they know our veteran players, And I'm sure they've been surprised that some of those guys have done really, really well, but they're also very interested in those young guys that maybe fell through the cracks of their college system.
Yeah, very well said. Tim Ruskell, enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure we'll do it again in the near future, and welcome to Jacksonville next week.
Thank you. Love to do it. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right. Tim Ruskell, the general manager of the Orlando Apollos. Good insight on the AAF. And by the way, the Orlando Apollos home against Memphis tomorrow down in Orlando, 8 o'clock. That game's also on NFL Network. So they are coming to Jacksonville to reside, if you will, during practice sessions for the next few weeks. And they'll practice at Camden County High School. Those practices are not open to the public. So they are hanging out in Southeast Georgia to Jacksonville and Orlando, but they're 2-0 right now under Steve Spurrier and up against Mike Singletary tomorrow with the Memphis Express. Tim was talking about that, and you were shaking your head because isn't that how your career ended, basically?
That's how it ended. John Fox told me, listen, we think you have a lot of talent, but we have a guy who's a couple years younger than you, and you're cheaper. A little older, and he's cheaper, and that's the way it's going to be.
That's the way it goes in the NFL.
Welcome to the NFL.
Stay in your lane, John Fox.
No, it's all good, man.
Oh, wait. That was
nothing
me.
but love for him. Hey, and that was Brent Martineau at Twitter.com.
Coming up next, Stay in Your Lane.
Fair enough.
By Austen Lane on ESPN 690.
Built with the biggest names in sports, all on one radio station. Golick and Wingo, Dan Le Batard, Stephen A. Smith, and Action Sports Jack's Brent Martineau every afternoon. Plus, Sports Center updates at the top and bottom of every hour. And major breaking news in sports when it happens. Make us your only button for sports. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. The all-new ESPN 690.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and can't pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank account, garnish your wages, and place liens against everything you own. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they will resolve your tax issue. Only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you, and fee payment plans are affordable for everyone. Get the protection you deserve. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. The number again, 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in your closet. The back of your closet? What am I doing here? Would you keep caviar in the back of your fridge with the ketchup and old milk? Yeah, I don't think so. So what happened to us? I mean, have you seen my label? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Sure, I never really fit you quite right, and one of my pockets is so small you can't even squeeze your hand into it. But it's all about the look, and I look good. I need to get back out on the scene so I can be seen. You know, going to fancy parties, getting expensive iced coffees, Sunday fun days, okay? So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
From the NBA to the NFL, we've got you covered. The worldwide leader in sports. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690. Now, back to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau
on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Got a lot of guests on today.
It's a full show.
Full show.
For something that started out as a pretty quiet show, I feel like, in the morning. Really ramped up a lot.
You never know what's going to happen. Robert Kraft might solicit a prostitute.
Yep.
Just another Friday in our world.
The guy's wearing Jordans, man. I told
allegedly,
you. It's sketchy.
By the way.
Well, he wasn't allegedly wearing Jordans. The guy always wears Jordans. You never trust an old dude wearing Jordans, man. Rule number one.
John Phillips will join us in just a few minutes to talk about that. But
about Jordans?
We got to no.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But I also want to ask John when he comes in about Zion Williamson a little bit too, if there's any kind of legality things involving him. So I'm interested in that, but that's coming up at 5 o'clock, top of the hour. Right now, it's stay in your lane time, although we're working on a magic whiteboard first. What do you got?
Well, I'm trying to stay consistent. I'm trying to do it every single commercial break.
Well, if you have to go to the bathroom every break, you'd have more time to do this
Brent,
stuff.
I'm hydrating, man. I said nothing but love for you, John Fox. I got nothing but love for the guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, it's business, right?
Business.
As they say. All right. Well, hang on.
Before you get to stay in your lane.
Thank God, because my computer froze here. So 1 second, please.
Before you, how much did you run today?
How much did I run today?
Yeah.
I had a sprint workout on the treadmill. That was my running, but I also had sparring this morning and got a mitt workout in as well.
What's a mitt workout?
Like hitting mitts. I mean, Brent, if you're going to be my Iceman, you got to know what a mitt workout is.
I've got to learn this terminology, but talk like to the layman's term here.
Okay,
We're talking to the casual.
Okay, so say you're watching Rocky and Mick was holding these things in his hands and Rocky was hitting him.
Yeah.
Those are mitts.
Yeah, like I saw Drake doing that the other day.
yeah, Drake was. and hey, whatever,
Hey, were
man.
you impressed by Drake doing that? I mean, did he look good?
He looked decent, but that's the funny thing is people will post that kind of stuff, just be like, check out what I can do, just in case something popped off. I'm ready to go.
That's where my shoulder conditioning would come in handy, though.
Shoulder conditioning is key. Actually, we had some shoulder conditioning last night. You missed out on. Thanks for showing up.
What was it?
I don't get into all of it, but one of the things that we had to do last night was shoulder endurance. So like a heavy bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to hang by your arms. They call it a gable grip. It's a wrestling term. You hold your hands like this, and for the people at home, I can't.
Just kind of put your hands together, cross-handed.
Kind of put cross-handed together, and you basically hang from the heavy bag just with like your arms and your forearms and your hands. You hang from there for about a minute, and then we supplemented that with.
Is that hard?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
because the blood goes in your arms, so it just everything gets. I guess they call it lactic acid gets built up. So we do that, and then we do some handstand stuff too as well. I don't give all the secrets away, but it's a little teaser for you.
Did you hit your shins with a golf club?
No, but
any shin conditioning?
No, but I don't know if I still got.
I was a little disappointed, by the way, that the story about shin conditioning should have got more traction.
That's all good, man. What are you gonna do?
I tweeted it last week, or maybe
did you see
earlier
that
in the
video
week.
that I linked underneath that? Yeah, that was pretty wild, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but shin conditioning is.
Yeah, I mean, I have some bruises from kickboxing and whatnot, but that's all part of it. But yeah, shin conditioning, it's the real thing, and you can definitely tell in a fight if a guy doesn't have it, he's in trouble.
Well, we can't talk over the next couple of weeks about strategy against this guy.
No, we can't.
But
it's going to be very mundane terminology from me and a very mundane game plan.
Yeah, because we don't. If he's smart, he's listening to see if he can get a little bit.
Oh yeah, wouldn't you if you're trying to face me, trying to get every edge you could?
Absolutely. So when I call him out a little bit, a couple of times, I think I might motivate him. I got to be careful. I don't want to do too much. Get a little chip on his shoulder.
Exactly. Well, if he's listening, hopefully he can enjoy this stay in your lane segment I'm about to do.
Yeah, that's good. You want to get off this topic, but I'm just excited about being the Iceman. Go ahead, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Got to go cruise control. There's going to be a new sport possibly in the 2024 Summer Games, Brent. Care to guess what it is?
2024?
Yep. Summer Games in Paris.
New sport that's going around. That's the Summer Games.
Mm-hmm.
Did we already do ping pong?
Ping pong's already a sport.
It's already a sport.
Haven't you ever seen Forrest Gump? Man, that was a documentary. Dude went to the Olympics.
I meant in the Olympics.
Didn't Forrest Gump go to the Olympics?
Yeah. I guess he did.
It's a documentary and the events happened in real time. Next guess.
Darts.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Not darts. Breakdancing, actually. And I got to say, the topic's kind of getting some blowback. Breakdancing, a sport. Listen, if you can sweat, if you need athleticism, it's a sport. Not opposed to gaming. That might be an Olympic sport coming up here, too. So when it comes to breakdancing.
That's in like 2028.
I know. So when it comes to breakdancing, dude, I'm all about it. If they can have ribbon twirling, curling, that cross-country skiing thing where you shoot the gun, you could definitely have breakdancing.
Just make sure you call cheerleading a sport, or we're going to need John Phillips to represent us.
Well, cheerleading is a sport, but it's not an Olympic sport yet, Brent.
And not yet.
Hey,
well, here's the thing.
My sister owns 3 cheerleading gyms. It might be a sport someday.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing about the esports, just to bring it back to that, because I've got a little insight. There's so much money involved in that right now.
No, for sure.
So that's why I think a lot of that's getting pushed right now, because, I mean, I think Fortnite's doing like a $20 million tournament soon.
It was at the X Games. They had e-gaming.
Correct.
At the X Games.
Yeah.
I think making money.
So extreme.
I think our ownership, Cox Media
we
Group,
do. Yeah.
I think we own a team
in
in
Atlanta.
something, but I don't understand it, right?
Overwatch.
Hey, Cox Media.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Let's go. Me and Kuz, Apex Legends. Here
Let's
we go.
do it. Let's start a team.
Dude, be very careful right here. Pump your brakes because you just got the paperwork through.
All right, quick segment for Pump Your Brakes. Hey, they announced Space Jam is hitting theaters here in July 16th of 2021. Why would you announce the movie like 2.5 years out from when it's actually going to hit the theaters? I was mad when Game of Thrones said it would be a year before the last season comes out. LeBron might not even be a thing in 2021.
Yeah,
so
well, that's true.
Who knows? And who knows what's going to happen in this movie?
Zion Williamson
That's
will
a
be
hot take.
Well, hey, and maybe Bugs Bunny can actually come on the Lakers and help that team win because they're struggling right now. And even though they won last night, but they're still struggling.
Yeah, they were my ball and nut.
Shots fired.
2021 Space Jam, do people really care that much about Space Jam that they look forward to it that far out?
The NBA Twitter is so hyped on Space Jam and all that.
Dude, I was a Space Jam fan. The original,
They
man.
found- oh,
I live
yeah.
in such a
Come on,
different
Slam.
world sometimes,
if
man.
If you want to jam, that was my movie. But I could care less about this new one.
But that was was that a huge movie because of Jordan?
Of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, athletes have always done movies, but to have that kind of athlete do that movie, I think raised it to a different height. Now you're talking but now it's like a common thing. Like Shaq's in movies. Everybody's in movies.
But back in the
Tim
original
Tebow's producing movies.
The original Space Jam, Jordan was the man. He was the MVP. He was, he won all the championships. In this new one, it's LeBron, and people could argue LeBron probably won't win the MVP. Thank you, Kuz. Play this. Yep.
I got
this jam? Dance, do your dance in the Space Jam. Come on and slam. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. Okay,
It seems to be like a Friday song. We need to start every show with this on a Friday.
There it is. There it is. Yep. Hey, Brett, don't worry. Those goosebumps are going to go away, man.
Is this what you're coming into it? Morocco Shrine on March 16th?
Now. I'll tell you what, this is what I'm going to leaving this building when I walk out at 6 p.m.
Says the guy wearing the Pink Floyd shirt.
Hey, I'm very versed. I'm
like that.
I'm a fan of all genres.
That might have been the best moment of the show.
I'm a fan of all genres. Thank you, Kuz, for that.
Best moments coming up, though. Robert Kraft, what kind of trouble is he really in? John Phillips is in. He's going to tell us all about it. And I want to ask him a little bit about Zion Williamson, too. But Kraft, the big story, legality-wise, well, what can the NFL do? What will happen to Kraft? And this is a bizarre story from South Florida. We have that coming up on the way. Also, a chance to go to the Players' Championship. Go to check out ESPN690.com, and you can win tickets to the Players' Championship. Simple as that. A pair of weekly passes, Captain's Club at the Players. And all you have to do is go to ESPN690.com, and you register, and you might be able to win. So go check it out. The new look website is up and running. You going to play us out of here with a little bit more of that music? Because I kind of like Austen Lang got a little hop in his step.
Come on and jam. Just go to the chorus. There it is. There it is. Yeah. And keep in mind the whole time it's Michael Jordan highlights. Just dunking the basketball, posterizing people. How can you not be a fan of this song, this movie, and just this whole time in our lives?
Well, I still have goosebumps.
Okay. Like I told you, eventually they're going to go away.
Actually. By the way, you should run to this tomorrow.
What's going to be the song? There's got to be like a song in the
that's
new
why
one.
It's coming out in 2.5 years. They need to find one.
Yeah, they got to find a song.
All right. Coming up next, John Phillips joins us. Robert Kraft's in some trouble on ESPN 690. Heck, we might be in some trouble.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football isn't the only thing the folks on the Patriots get caught cheating on. Police to our south down in Jupiter, Florida, releasing a statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft being busted at a prostitution ring on video.
It appears when you go to the spa for a half hour, the fee would be $59. For an hour, that would be $79. The video contained Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged ex. The answer to that is yes.
So now the country waits with bated breath for that video to leak, and until then, we're just left burning this horrible image into our innocent minds. The University of Texas has suspended their leading scorer for what they're calling a violation of team rules. Kerwin Roach, currently averaging 15 a game for the Longhorns. This is his second suspension of the season, his third of his college career. And this weekend, the Seminoles travel to Raleigh to take on the streaking Tar Heels while the Gators are at home against Mizzou. Stream us from your phone or computer anytime. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit listen live.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks here on ESPN 690. And although the focus has shifted a little bit from football and heading into basketball season, maybe even baseball season, we have not lost our focus on helping you get the best car buying experience. If you haven't been to see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, you've got to see this new state-of-the-art showroom and meet their fantastic people. Beyond that, if you're thinking about buying a new or pre-owned car, you really should go see the team at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. I'm really confident you'll find their approach to be a breath of fresh air. Take it from me. I drive a Hyundai, and my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville emphasize a no-risk and no-pressure approach. They offer a limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States, and if you're not 100% satisfied with your vehicle for any reason, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is located on Atlantic Boulevard. You can schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com and tell them Brent Martineau sent you.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Patriots owner Robert Kraft is now facing 2 charges of soliciting prostitution at a Jupiter, Florida massage parlor. Police say there is video of Kraft paying for a sex act. A spokesman for Kraft categorically denies that the Patriots owner engaged in any illegal activities. ESPN's Chris Mortensen doesn't think the league will be fast-tracking any discipline against Kraft.
To me, this is more about his legacy and reputation that I think is probably going to bother him more than anything.
NFL owners are subject to the league's personal conduct policy and are actually held to a higher standard than players. A Friday night NBA doubleheader on ESPN tipping off at 7 Eastern with the Spurs and Raptors. That game will be followed tonight by the Jazz and Thunder in Oklahoma City. Dodgers lefty Clayton Kershaw will not throw again until he's cleared. Manager Dave Roberts says the team isn't worried. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports utility man Marwin Gonzalez will sign a 2-year, $21 million contract with the Minnesota Twins.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You watch Action Sports Jacks on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jacks is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, catching up on the big story of the day. If you're just driving home on a Friday, heading in for a nice weekend, I can tell you this, you're going to most likely have a better weekend than Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, because he got caught up in a sex trafficking sting. And solicitation of a prostitute is the charge against the Patriots owner. That's a misdemeanor. But where does this thing go? What does it mean for the Patriots? What does it mean for Robert Kraft? What does it mean for the NFL? All questions that we hope to get answered with a friend, John Phillips, who's checking in. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. Great to be in studio.
Good to have you. You've been in the studio before. We've changed it around a little bit.
Yeah. It looks great.
Now, Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Coos here. One more hour to go on a Friday on ESPN 690. All right. We talked earlier. You said, whoa, this is, you've seen a lot of crazy stuff. So for you to say something like this is crazy, that tells me this is crazy.
It's been a crazy 7 years. And I was planning on going home early, maybe having a pop, but not so much. I got Robert Kraft today. But it's not, it's not one count, it's 2 counts. They've got him going back and forth and back and forth. And apparently at one point he had a limo or a car service, and they even made sure that it was his car. So they've got him, and apparently there's video, because this was a full-on sting, which we can get into about sex trafficking. I mean, it's an abysmal thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's different going and hire an escort who's kind of voluntarily gotten into that lifestyle, but sex trafficked workers are in some aspects slaves, and that's really
and a huge problem in our country right now.
Huge problem. This was a part of a 200-person sting that's been the focus of Central Florida for a few months. And they finally brought down this place. But, again, a strip mall in Jupiter, Florida, and you've got this multi-billionaire NFL owner who goes to one of these massage parlors and gets busted on video. That's as embarrassing as it gets.
So at face value, it's a misdemeanor.
2 misdemeanors.
Or 2 misdemeanors. What does that part mean?
Right.
And could it be elevated or could it escalate from there?
So, we don't. The state attorney can always look for more charges, but right now, from what they have, so the first time you've been charged with prostitution, hopefully none of the listeners will have this problem, but it's up to 60 days. Second time is a class 1 misdemeanor, so it's up to a year. So, in theory, he's facing a year in jail, but I'm sure he doesn't have this record. Usually these things will go through pretrial intervention where they'll do something before filing charges. But right now, as we sit here today, there's going to be a warrant soon because he's not a local. They can't just send him a notice to appear.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a warrant for Robert Kraft in Florida to appear for prostitution charges.
So a question I kind of brought up on the show earlier today, and obviously you can probably answer better than I ever could. Say Robert Kraft for some reason knew exactly what was going on there. Now, are we talking a bigger case, obviously, on a federal level?
If he was financially involved, if he was, and this could reach federal level, mainly for the owners of the facility, but if he had some knowledge, if one of these workers were underage, which right now they were bringing in translators, according to the press report, to just figure out who, what, when, where, and why.
What a mess.
And so I'm a lawyer. I'm a trial lawyer.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things that and we pay attention, I give to like Rethreaded and some of the local sex trafficking nonprofits, but there's great federal law that brings down hotels. So I had a sex trafficking organization tell me that you can fly, a businessman, so to speak, could fly into Atlanta and within 30 minutes of landing, choose the age and race of somebody they want to have and could have it. And that is abysmal. It's appalling. And so in theory, one of these workers could sue Robert Kraft as well as the facility through federal law.
Yeah, and I guess right now we have to assume that it's just the 2 misdemeanors, right, and probably doesn't go there. But, we're just assuming that, which is probably a terrible thing to do when you're talking about this kind of stuff,
right,
assuming anything. But let's take it from an NFL standpoint then.
Huge.
Is there something the NFL potentially can do? We were arguing a little bit earlier. Yeah, player might be treated differently. But when you own a team,
right,
you are your own police, at least for your franchise. Now, there is the NFL commissioner, but you have a safe haven because you are a billionaire and own this thing. There's nobody, unless you have a board of directors or Jonathan Kraft is going to say, hey, Dad, get out of here. I have more power than you now.
Right.
What's the punishment?
But you're still part of the NFL. What was my point?
And that's it. Where does the shield come in?
Roger Goodell and the other owners are going to have some kind of clandestine meetings about this and try to figure out what to do, because how can you – look, they're not going to look at it like this, but how can you punish Colin Kaepernick with banishment and Robert Kraft gets to go make another $1 billion? Never mind. If this thing were stepped up even the slightest – he could potentially have sex offender status. Could you imagine? And we've seen that where 18-year-old kids, 19-year-old kids go skinny dipping and get popped and have a lifelong sex offender status. And here's a guy that does this. And so the shield's going to have to do something. A fine. But again, it's Robert Kraft's been sanctioned with draft picks and all that before, but it was all related to the franchise, and this is different. it's new. It's kind of new precedent because billionaires tend not to get tagged with misdemeanors.
Yeah, and on top of that, again, we talked about it. Fine, okay, you fine them a couple $1 million. It happens. Suspend, maybe there's a suspension that they agree upon. Remember, this is a very not all owners have a face that transcends the sport. Obviously, Jerry Jones does, right? But this guy's number 2 on the list.
Right.
If he's not number 1, but I think Jerry Jones takes that cake. Am I missing one? I mean, Irsay because he got in trouble, perhaps, but I don't think so.
Khan's a big face, but I mean, obviously he hasn't gotten in trouble. But I'm saying, but as far as the face of a franchise, but no, I mean, Kraft is number 2, if not number 1 behind Jerry Jones.
So this is a big part of your, this isn't. There's Roger Goodell outside of players and coaches. There's Roger Goodell. There's Jerry Jones. Right. There might be Robert Kraft right after that. I mean, this is a big name. How do you think it ends?
There's going to be pressure on the prosecutor, kind of like Roger Goodell, to try to make it even. Like there were 20 other people that you would have never heard their names, but for Robert Kraft being on the same list as them. Poor guys, not really. But they're going to have to kind of give similar sentences to everybody. Otherwise, local media is going to go nuts. We're a huge media market down there. But I imagine there's going to be some sort of pre-filing intervention where he'll get some probation. He'll do some sex counseling. Knowing him, he'll probably, hopefully have a PR person say, look, this is sex trafficking. Go donate $100,000 to a nonprofit and get out from under it. That's generally the thing, but this is going to follow him until the day he dies.
You got to wear it.
You've got to wear it, and this is scarlet letter. This is that, and again, you get caught in Vegas with an escort. I mean, our president has had several people talk about adultery, and the country's gotten kind of numb to that. But we should never be numb to sex trafficking. We should never be numb to unwilling people who are literally their livelihood is held in front of them if they don't do what they got to do.
And a thing I wanted to ask, and doesn't really pertain to sports, but I have you here, so I'm going to ask the question: what happens to the workers now? I mean, do they get deported back to China, or what happens with that?
Literally, as I was walking in here asking that, because we have a former prosecutor that leads up our criminal defense, and I do mainly the victims' rights work, and so that's why I'm looking at it from the victim side. But he said if they're victims, if they're truly sex trafficked, they will be protected. They're going to get a chance, and they're actually important to the state. If they were management or kind of, like the 2 owners, they're all facing the full effect of the law and possible deportation. But we don't know enough yet. But hopefully, if I fear underage workers, I fear. Just these women in the poorest conditions it's just awful.
Yeah, and again, that's a good question because it's a big deal in the United States right now, and probably not talked about enough. And if anything else, this might bring more attention.
Yeah, go buy something from Rethreaded. Their clothing goes back to sex traffic workers. They're a fantastic organization.
I'm going to do a 180 here.
Yeah,
and go to a guy who slipped on a busted shoe.
Yeah.
A complete 180. So sorry
as
for
Obama
the
said, his shoe broke.
That's right. He did. You could lip read there, and it did. Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it until I talked to you and said, "Hey, you want to come in?" Is there some form of legal something that could take place off this with all the money at stake, all the attention on it, and a shoe that malfunctioned?
So it's complicated. As far as Duke being able to sue Nike or make a claim against Nike, they cannot. They had a contract. And in fact, Darren Ravel tweeted out the contract. If there's an incident with a shoe, if a player doesn't want to wear a shoe, there's certain requirements that in the NFL, they can kind of hold it over people and fine them. In college, you can't. These kids are unpaid. But there's all sorts, everything Nike has thought of. They're a giant. And so Duke couldn't sue for the loss of Zion or whatever. Zion could, but it would be a products liability analysis. Products liability. This is, if these shoes started blowing out all over the country, that would be a problem.
Because then it would become like a class action
Correct.
type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you can sue for anything, whether you can recover is separate, and Nike wouldn't let it get that far anyway.
Yeah.
So technically he has a claim, but he also had an insurance policy written by Duke, as I understand it. So the money he would get, I don't think there's a lawsuit. It goes back to paying players and compensating players. And I've said it for years, and people always come back at me. And you can tweet me at John Phillips with your negative responses. But
you get some of those sometimes.
All the time. You used to say them. But
I think we might have gone back and forth at
exactly.
times.
Exactly. And so you bailed me out of some of these. But I need Austin Lane to fight for me sometime.
I got you, man.
But I just want to make the whiteboard. That's all there's to it. But it's. I lost my point and all the insanity.
Well, the pay-to-play stuff
is
where you're going.
Workers' comp, get these. If you're selling popcorn, you qualify for workers' comp for the university. Get these guys workers' comp at a bare minimum. Especially if you've got a required before you can enter the professional sports. I mean, it's just such a crazy rule. But you also don't want 18-year-olds going into the NFL and the NBA.
Yeah. So, but workers' comp that's something that doesn't get mentioned as much. We're not smart enough to figure that out probably, but we don't talk workers' comp. We talk pay-to-play stipends,
which I'm all for. But at a bare minimum, you get these guys, and some say that, well, because they get free medical treatment, it's kind of like workers' comp. I'm like, no, it's not, because you don't get the lump sum settlement, you don't get the protection, and then the other side as well. But they could insure, the universities insure them. Like, I went to the University of Alabama. I get big mega programs, although they weren't as good when I was there. But the blood, sweat, and toil, I'm on the player side.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are. And where does it land? I think we're still maybe years and years away from figuring that out, that part of it. All right, take off the lawyer cap.
Yep.
You can't have a pop in here, but you're on your porch now and having a pop, and we're getting into I know you're a big Jags guy.
Yep.
Going the combine, big time coming up with free agency, franchise tag potential with Nick Foles. You've heard all the stories, you see it, all the discussions. What do you want, or what do you think the Jags will do at the quarterback spot?
It depends on where they, what happens before us in the draft. But I do like Haskins. I wish I could project to next year and grab that kid from Alabama in 2020, but you can do both, I guess. But I'm also conflicted because, that BB5 guy, is a friend of mine.
Yeah,
and so I want the best for Blake. But I do think that a change of scenery will help everybody.
Yeah.
But
sure feels like it.
I don't know about Foles. I've heard about it. I get it. We're gonna have a party at the Duval House.
I was gonna say, just anybody that makes the party rock at the Duval
House. We're gonna have a
House,
party
right?
at the Duval House right across the street. Either way, we need to invite Austin over.
Yes, please.
And we actually so off the record or off the subject, Sight and Sound, the people.
I was going to say this is
video.
a bad place to be off the record
now.
No,
still on the record. Right on in front of me. Sight and Sound.
Hey, block your ears, everybody.
Sight and Sound does all this, the audio and video setup. Them and PRI, and they had these huge, like 15 feet tall statues with the old Jaguar reaching out, and we bought them.
Oh, really?
So they're going to be outside the Duval House too
Right
next season. But it's it's tough. I hope we keep making strides. I haven't given up on Dave and the gang. They, I think they thought that the power running game would be still viable in the NFL, and we'll see what they do with Fournette. I mean, that's how he comes back next year is a big decision, or big momentum. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when we talk about the Jazz. I think this is one. I've been here. This is 11 years now, and this is the most confounding offseason yet. And it's got some rivals now.
Yeah.
But I just think the decision making is, you could line 10 people up, and I think we could come up with probably 4, 5, 6 different answers out of the 10.
You could, but either way, we're finally moving in the right direction. I mean, everybody thought Leftwich, when Leftwich came out, everybody thought Leftwich was the guy. Heck, Matt Jones was the guy right before they drafted him. People all believed the day after Matt Jones that Matt Jones was going to be a star. saw him most. But Haskins has got the ability. I'm not a big fan of the guy that's 5'9", 5'10".
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but
I can't imagine they are either. It'd surprise me. I'd be shocked
Coughlin?
if they are. But we'll see what happens. Hey, good catching up with you.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for straightening
We're going to
this
do this
out.
more.
Absolutely.
Come on as a sponsor of this here radio show.
We love it.
It'd be great, and thanks for stopping by. And also keep your phone by you, because during Sawgrass, if I get thrown out of that tournament, I'm giving you a call first.
444-4444. But you'll get the
Easy
cell.
enough.
You'll get the cell
I'll
number.
get the cell number. I appreciate it, man.
Back line.
Don't worry, Brent, Brent, we're all covered now, man.
Throw
We're good to
that
go.
number up on a whiteboard.
Yeah,
John
you got
Phillips,
it.
go have the pop. Have a good
All right,
weekend,
guys.
man.
Thanks.
All right, we come back on ESPN 690 right after this. I wanted to talk about something with Tom Coughlin and electrifying offensive players. Does he go Kyler Murray? We'll touch on it next.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Springtime is almost here. It's the perfect time to tackle the next job on your list, and AutoZone has the free services to help you do it, like our free Fix Finder service. If your check engine light is on, our Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the real problem, saving you time and money down the road. Want help from a pro? We can help with that too. Keep your engine running clean. Buy one STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner and get one free. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the only $5 meal worthy of your appetite? Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. Our classic Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is now bigger, with double the fresh, never frozen beef and double the Applewood smoked bacon. There's nothing junior about it except the price. Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal comes with nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5. Get the $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal at Wendy's. Giant Meal, junior price.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And somehow, I fat-fingered the order for 2019 Colorados and ended up with over 100 in stock. So right now, you can get up to $4,000 off. That's the truck everybody's talking about, the Chevy Colorado. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding Boulevard and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
March is right around the corner, and that means the Players' Championship will be here before you know it. We have your chance to win tickets to the newest venue at the Players, the Captain's Club, which includes beer, wine, and soda. To enter, go to our contest page at ESPN690.com.
This is Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau
on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Welcome back here on a Friday edition of Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Thanks, John Phillips, for coming in, man. We've had a crowded show today, but absolutely loved it and having a good week. Hopefully you guys had a good week out there and head into a nice weekend. Coming up here in Jacksonville in the River City. Again, Players' Championship now, 17 days, I think it is, and counting. Hope I don't know the hours and minutes, but you got a chance to win tickets and weekly passes to the Captain's Club for the Players' Championship. Go to ESPN690.com. That's the place to go, ESPN690.com, our new and improved website, and you can register and win tickets to the Players. Go to the contest section of the website. Reminder, as always, 904-362-9901 is the number. We've been filled with guests, but if you want to get in on a Friday as you head into the weekend, feel free, 362-9901. Question I just put out there, too, is, you know, you think Kyler Murray, and this crossed my mind earlier today, said, has Tom Coughlin ever really taken, Tom Coughlin feels like a check-the-box kind of guy, right? Offensive lineman, defensive lineman. The quarterback probably's got to be 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in there. Has he been risky at all in places where he's been? Now, again, when he was with the New York Giants, Jerry Reese was a big part of building the New York Giants as well, but no doubt Tom Coughlin was a part of it, had a say. And I think, obviously in Jacksonville, he started with Tony Baselli. So, you know, you kind of think stability, more conservative, safer picks. But has he gone out on a limb and said, hey, let's go grab this guy? or that guy, and let's take a chance because I see something that others don't, or I'm not afraid to see something that others don't. And that's not easy to do all the time.
Yeah, as I'm doing some research because you literally just dropped this on top of me right now.
Really, I sprung it on myself too because I thought of it, but then I forgot to really check into it. So what draft was Odell Beckham Jr.?
2014. Also in that draft, 2014, in the 4th round, he took Andre Williams, running back. His running backs, it kind of varies, but in 2012, he took David Wilson in the 1st round. I'm not really sure how he amounted in the NFL. I feel like it wasn't that great of a pick.
No. And I'm talking by the way, for this to be a risk.
We're talking about game change. Yeah.
We're talking like the first 3 rounds here. Like, okay, so Odell Beckham's 2014. Did he have the baggage coming out? He had some issues coming out, if I remember right. Him and Landry, I think, might have both had a little bit, but not like crazy. And obviously the talent was there for them to take him at number 12. I've got the draft history right in front of me. So, but Pugh, Hankins, DeMontre Moore in 2013, David Wilson, Reuben Randall, Jaron Hossley in 2012. 2011, Prince Amukamara, Marvin Austin, Gerald Jernigan. I mean, Jason Pierre-Paul and Joseph and Chad Jones. I'm going first 3 rounds, folks. Hakeem Nicks, not a risk, right? I mean, Hakeem Nicks, that wide receiver? No. So keep going back. Phillips, Thomas, Manningham, they took in 2008. Aaron Ross. Oh, vacation man, Aaron Ross. Yeah. We will stop right there. Steve Smith, Jay Alford, Kiwanuka in 06, and Sonoris Moss. What we're coming up with is no.
Keeps it pretty close to the
all the way
chest.
back to 2004. You know what his riskiest pick might have been? This sounds kind of interesting. Is Chris Snee.
How do I know that name?
Well, because it was well, he played for a long time. He was part of that offensive line for the Giants, but it ended up being his son-in-law. And so the perception of that, and it was always interesting. But I mean, he took Phillip Rivers, and then of course Eli Manning and all that got traded away. So
even Taven Bryan wasn't really like that.
Oh gosh,
crazy of a pick. You know, I mean that was a pretty.
He's your check the box guy.
Exactly.
So my point is,
Kyler Murray doesn't fit the bill, is what you're saying.
I mean, I just ran through some 10 years. 12 years of draft picks in Giants history. And I would think Odell Beckham Jr. might be the only one that you would say, well, that might have been a little bit of a risk. Let's go back to the early days here. Baselli, James Stewart, Brian DeMarco, Brian Schwartz, Kevin Hardy, Tony Brackens, Michael Cheever, Ronaldo Wynn, Mike Logan, James Hamilton, Freddie T, Donovan Darius, Cordell Taylor. These are not risky picks. Again, I'm going through the first 3 rounds, basically, first 3 picks. Fernando Bryant, Larry Smith, Anthony Cesario. Okay, bingo. R.J. Soward.
Okay.
And a big, awful no-no.
Yeah.
Right? And to be honest with you, coming out of college, I know R.J. Soward. I think R.J. Soward was risky coming out of school, too, at USC, if I remember correctly, back in 2000. Is that really like the riskiest?
Well, was Matt Jones is here when Coughlin, right, or not?
Matt Jones would have been picked after Coughlin. Well,
Okay,
after
never
Coughlin,
mind.
2005.
Well, and then when we're talking about Coughlin, too,
that was with Del Rio.
It's not like you've had a lot of sense of the quarterbacks either. I mean, he drafted Nassib, who was a 4th-round pick. And, I mean, I don't know. It's a 4th-round pick. You know, you can probably take a risk there. It's not that much of a bust.
Well, that's a great point on what you just brought up. As I look even at the Jags from a drafting standpoint, Rob Johnson, who they ended up turning into a pick for Fred Taylor down the road. And that was let me go back. Rob Johnson, I think, was a 4th-round guy. Yeah, he was. 4th-round pick for Rob Johnson. They picked Jonathan Quinn. That was a 3rd-round pick. And, they picked Phillip Rivers with the Giants. And Garrard is a 4th-round pick in 2002. I mean, he's never picked a 1st-round quarterback outside of Phillip Rivers, who then they traded for Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Oh, that just hit me.
Interesting.
Am I right on that? I'm going to have to go research that again, but that just hit me.
Yeah. There you go.
This potentially will be in Tom Coughlin's coaching career, or at least career, like either as a coach or now in this role, going back to 1995. Only the second time potentially picks a first-round quarterback. Wow, I think I just got a story idea for NFL draft.
Absolutely, man. That's what I'm saying. See, we started
at one topic. I got to go double check on that research, but
crunch the numbers.
That's unbelievable.
There you go.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take.
We got some hot takes coming up. ESPN 690 next.
We got some games, too.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football isn't the only thing the folks on the Patriots get caught cheating on. Police to our south down in Jupiter, Florida, releasing a statement about Patriots owner Robert Kraft being busted at a prostitution ring on video.
It appears when you go to the spa for a half hour, the fee would be $59. For an hour, that would be $79. The video contained Mr. Kraft inside receiving the alleged ex. The answer to that is yes.
So now the country waits with bated breath for that video to leak, and until then, we're just left burning this horrible image into our innocent minds. The University of Texas has suspended their leading scorer for what they're calling a violation of team rules. Kerwin Roach, currently averaging 15 a game for the Longhorns. This is his second suspension of the season, his third of his college career. And this weekend, the Seminoles travel to Raleigh to take on the streaking Tar Heels while the Gators are at home against Mizzou. Stream us from your phone or computer anytime. Just go to ESPN690.com and hit listen live.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jackson, ESPN 690. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year, the 2019 Hyundai Kona. This new crossover utility vehicle is a perfect fit for a family who doesn't need as much room as the Hyundai Santa Fe, but more room than the Hyundai Elantra. Their customer service is top-notch at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, and you never have to worry about a high-pressure, haggling sales approach to you buying a car. My friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville offer the no-risk, no-pressure approach. If you don't absolutely love your new Hyundai, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. They also offer a lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com or just swing by the showroom on Atlantic Boulevard. I'm confident your experience at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville will be just as good as mine has been. Tell them Brent Martineau sent you and drop me a line on social media. Let me know how your experience was at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville.
Hi, everyone. This is Allie McNeil from the Best Bet Poker Rooms in Jacksonville and Orange Park. WPT Deep Stacks returns to Jacksonville March 1st. The series features 12 total events with the main event guaranteeing over $300,000. Satellite into the $1,500 main event for as little as $85. Pick up all the bragging rights and cash. Plus, make your claim to fame in this year's WPT Deep Stack Series. Satellites run now through March 9th. For all tournament information, visit them on the web at bestbetjacks.com.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Now you have a bunch of young guys who found out we were all on the trade block. Now that trade didn't go through, so I agree with Magic, and you got to put on your big boy pants, but we all don't know how everybody's going to deal with it.
Go Lick and Wingo, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, welcome back here. Half hour to go up until 6 o'clock on a Friday in Jacksonville, Florida. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. I don't know why this was such a revelation to me, but it certainly was, as we figured out right before we went to break.
I mean, it's kind of amazing. I get it. You got to remember, Mark Brunell was not drafted to the Jaguars, but so some of this stuff's free agency and all that. But and the other part of this that's very important is they draft Phillip Rivers in 2004. The Giants do, and it turns into Eli Manning, of course, and then they don't need one. So it's but what I'm putting out there right now is it still jumps out at you that since 1995, that is a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's now some 24 years ago. So Tom Coughlin's teams have drafted a quarterback in the first or second round once. Jeez. It was Eli Manning. Yeah. Well, it was Phillip Rivers that turned into Eli Manning.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
Well, there's not much of a track record other than he's 1 for 1. I mean, by the way, he's really 2 for 2 because Phillip Rivers was good too.
Yeah. So I've heard.
He's 2 for 2 in the same draft. I don't know why that's so shocking to me, but it really feels pretty shocking to me. You got some hot takes, Coos, or what? Coos, what you up today? You trying to just make it through the rest of the week?
No, man, I'm good. I got some hot takes.
You got Wawa's sweatshirt back on. I love it.
Yeah, it's cold up here, man.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
And he came in rocking his hood and covering his face. I got a little scared for a second.
Freaked him out a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I didn't have time to take the hoodie off. I was running back in here to make sure you guys were still, on air.
Looking like the guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer all of a sudden. You ever see that movie, Coos? Probably not. You're too young.
No, I've seen clips, though.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, man? Come on.
Clips, man.
Classic.
I've seen clips.
All right.
That's all I got for you. All right, so hot takes. The first one I'm actually going to bring up was a comment that happened because Brent was talking about the NFL Combine being kind of overrated or unimportant. The comment is saying it's not as unimportant as the 4th game in the preseason.
Yeah. And that was true. That's not really the offseason. But all right, what is the most important part of what is the most unimportant part of the season, the offseason? I get preseason game number 4 probably would win.
Yeah, of course.
But you have right after the season we have the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We have all these East-West Shrine games, All-Star games. There is pro days. There is the NFL Combine. There are visits, right? You've been through a lot of this stuff.
I've been on the visits, yeah.
Are the visits a waste of time?
Me and Tim Tebow went on the visits.
Is that a waste of time? Is there anything that you draw from that?
No, the only thing I only took one visit, and it was to Buffalo. Like I said, I was with Tim Tebow, Brandon Spikes from Florida, a couple of alums. We had dinner at the Chop House in Buffalo, which was fantastic. During the dinner, though, Jim Kelly, the former quarterback from the Bills,
absolutely,
gave us a little speech about being a Buffalo Bill, and then after it actually asked Tim Tebow for his autograph in front of everybody, which I just kind of rolled my head at, rolled my eyes a little bit. But the only thing that I got out of the visit was the fact that they put me on the board a little bit, and I had to drop some schemes. But it's something that could have been done at the Combine. So honestly, I got a pretty sweet steak dinner out of it, and I found out what a Cobb salad was. Literally, like a whole head of lettuce with some blue cheese on it. Didn't know,
what you learned. They're phenomenal.
No, but for real, I've had Cobb salads before, but like a real steakhouse, like a 5-star restaurant Cobb salad, it's literally like a head, like an iceberg thing of lettuce, and they have some blue cheese and some bacon on there. So that was kind of a trip. But
so good too.
Yeah. So if we're talking about the most useless thing, it's probably those visits, unless the kid hasn't been to the Combine.
I feel like getting on the board has value.
No, for sure. Yeah, but
would you want to do it via Skype?
But here's the thing, though. I got on the board at the Combine as well with the Bills, so they just made me do it again.
Okay.
So,
okay. Yeah. And I guess I would ask this: is there value you knowing stuff for a board as a defensive end?
I don't know, man. Just tell me where to go and I'll do it.
I was gonna say, is it kind of plug and play?
If I'm playing middle linebacker, maybe, but I don't know. I scored a 21 in the Wonder League, man. What do you want from me?
Next week. That's next week's
okay.
stories.
Okay.
We should have had a guessing game on that.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe a few people, maybe they didn't hear.
Okay.
So we'll put it out there, and if they heard, they heard.
I'm sure my friends will probably say lower, but it was a big deal though because obviously the Combine was about Tim Tebow, so we had bets going on if I could beat Tim Tebow's score, which I don't think I did. I think Tim Tebow got like a 24. So
all right,
damn.
All right, hot take number 2. Jags.
By the way, I don't know. We might have failed miserably at the hot take.
I don't know.
Not
That's
sure.
all right.
That was a good hot take.
That was more of a not take, but it's okay.
But here's the thing. It was a comment that we had gotten, so I wanted to make sure we hit it. All right, this one. Jags fans shoot down every quarterback that's been mentioned this offseason. You guys have to understand Bridgewater has the most upside of anybody right now.
I like that. I like this here. This is good. So read it again. Did he mention Foles or anybody?
This was posted by an Eagles fan, though, so I'm just putting that out there on Jags Reddit.
Okay, so this includes this includes anybody.
Can you say the question again, or the statement?
The statement was Jags fans shoot down every quarterback this offseason. You guys have to understand Bridgewater has more upside than anyone else right now.
All right, you're singing to me as well.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what that is, but okay, so we've got a bunch of veteran QBs. We've got Foles. We've got Tannehill. We've got Keenum.
Fitzpatrick.
We have Fitzpatrick. We have
Taylor.
Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor, and I'm sure I'm missing some.
Case Keenum maybe.
I threw Keenum in.
Okay.
That was 6 of them.
And possibly Carr. If Carr gets
you can't do that. He's not there.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and by the way, Keenum's not there yet, but we all think he's going to be.
Okay.
So take those 6 guys, and I'm probably leaving somebody out.
Yeah, but I got it.
I still believe Nick Foles has a best chance. The resume is impressive to me. He's got 3 really good bullet points on his resume. So I believe Nick Foles from an upside standpoint, you're talking he could play the next 5, 6, 7 years at a pretty good level,
Mm-hmm.
Next on my list, I think would be Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah?
And Teddy Bridgewater, to me, again, we all can sit here and say, what if he's not healthy? Well, that's not fair in this conversation. If the Jags sign him, we got to assume he's healthy. I've told you this story before. I think one of the reasons they did not even go after Teddy Bridgewater last year to compete with Blake Bortles, bring him in as a backup, is because they didn't feel like he was fully healthy. Well, we're a year later now. And he actually played in a game for New Orleans, and he's gone through a season, and I don't think he was on injury reports. I know it's practice, but he got through that stuff. Practice is where he got hurt. Mm-hmm. So I've got to assume he's healthy. Well, that being said, I think then he does, at 26 years old, have more upside than Tannehill, Keenum, Tyrod Taylor, all those guys. I think Teddy Bridgewater, the book is still unwritten on him, and it got stopped short. Again, this is not a guy that loves Teddy Bridgewater either. I'm not a huge fan of Bridgewater. But if you're giving me upside potential, that's why I like the Jags landing him, because it's still an unknown compared to the other guys that have played enough football that I think I know who they are.
So you're saying Teddy Bridgewater has the most upside compared to second place to Nick Foles?
Second to Foles.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Brent. Let's think about where he's starting from. He's starting from a career where this past season he played in 1 game for the Saints, had 1 interception, 1 touchdown, I got the stats right here. Please hold. He went 14 for 23, 60% completion percentage, a 70-something quarterback rating.
Well, then, the Jags should keep Blake Bortles as a quarterback because he had a great game against the Patriots.
Well, hey,
that's 1 game.
Okay, and Blake Bortles had a bad season, but guess what? Next season he's got a lot of upside because can you really go down that farther? So when we're saying Teddy Bridgewater, we don't know what he's capable of.
Knock on wood, by the way.
So from an upside standpoint, of course he's going to have the highest upside because he's a risk, but guess what? He also has the biggest downside because we don't know what we're getting with him. At least with Tyrod Taylor, with Ryan Fitzpatrick. With Tyrod Taylor, it's a guy you're going to throw in there, not going to make a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers. Ryan Fitzpatrick's kind of a loose cannon sometimes, but he's got the arm. So when we're talking from a standpoint of a guy coming in here, we don't know what he's capable of. So yeah, there's upside, but guess what? There's downside too. And are you really going to roll the dice that much on a quarterback?
Listen, you always roll the dice on a quarterback. Let me just ask you this way.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask you this way. Ceiling. I understand. That's a good point. You just brought up a very good point. Downside is definitely there, where I would say the downside, if you ask me upside, downside, I would say you're right about Tyrod Taylor. And this is fine if you disagree with me here. Do you think Tyrod Taylor or Teddy Bridgewater has a higher ceiling?
Brett, you have to go Teddy Bridgewater because we haven't seen a lot from him.
Yeah,
so,
and that's my point.
Yeah,
that's
for
my
sure.
point. So I know too much,
No,
and I know too much about the scar tissue on these other quarterbacks that I almost would rather take the chance on the guy I don't know a little bit about.
But why would you take a chance when you got a solid defense, an all-pro defense ready to have your back?
Because I still believe you need above-average quarterback play with that defense. You can't get just average quarterback play to go to the playoffs. You need above average, and I'm talking just even a notch above average. I don't think Tyrod Taylor gives you that. I think he gives you very average quarterback play. I think Case Keenum would give you average quarterback play. I think Tannehill is interesting. You might be able to move me a little bit. But I think Teddy Bridgewater has a chance to be above average, and I know Nick Foles does because I've seen it. It's on his resume for sure. Hey, more to come on ESPN 690. I think we're going to play a little game.
Oh, we have a game, Brent.
And we also get the best introduction we've seen in sports, maybe since the Chicago Bulls. Next.
This is Golic and Wingo.
NFL insider Adam Schefter is with us. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Tom Coughlin comes out with this statement. Where do you think this is headed?
They're going to be exploring other avenues, with them being one of the most, if not the most disappointing team in football, starting at the quarterback position. They'll start there, and they'll branch out, and I would expect that they'll obviously discuss the idea of moving on from Leonard Fournette, as they will with other disappointing players there this offseason.
Golic and Wingo, weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
The President's Day sale at Arlington Toyota has been extended. This is your chance to put more presidents back in your pocket all month long at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Toyota has over 1,000 new and used on the lot every day, and they're discounted now with President's Day savings. During the President's Day sale going on right now at Arlington, you can choose Jacksonville like a 2019 Camry LE or a 2019 Corolla LE for $0 down or $159 a month. That's a pre-owned 2019 Camry or a Corolla for $0 down or $159 a month. Amazing savings at 0% down or $159 a month. That's a pre-owned 2019 Highlander from just $28,988. Arlington is all about putting you behind the wheel, and that includes their new free iPreCheck service powered by TransUnion. It's the easy way to check your real credit without affecting your credit score. No Social Security number required. Save some presidents now at the Arlington Toyota President's Day sale extended through the end of the month. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
There are those who play the blues. Then there's Chicago's electric blues legend, the one and only Buddy Guy.
And it goes down.
Saturday, March 23rd at the Florida Theater.
Well, you know it's 9 below zero.
Tickets are on sale now at the box office and at floridatheater.com. Don't miss Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Buddy Guy.
From Daytona Beach to Brunswick, now ESPN can be heard loud and clear everywhere on one of the most powerful AM radio stations in Florida. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Mike Golic from Golic and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with our friend Brent Martineau on ESPN 690.
Let's be real for a second, all right? Is there a part of you that gets surprised that in this whole prostitution ring thing with Robert Kraft, that even money can't buy that off? Do I watch too many movies that this guy's got so much money that he couldn't somehow have kept his name out of it?
Dude, just go on Tinder.
Well, I know, I get that. He made you could do all those things.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, once it was kind of learned that his name was on that sheet, he couldn't buy that video. He can't, like, I know this is real life and not movies. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, you're talking, this guy's got a ton of money. It just surprises me. Like, I think that still happens is my point, right? I still think, go back to the mafia days in a way, but I still think if you want to cover something up, money still could talk.
Well, and then that was one of my whiteboard things, I think, yesterday, where you're never going to hear about the perfect crime. Think about it.
That actually leads me into a question.
I can't wait to hear this.
No, because...
But I see what you're saying, Brent. Yeah, I mean, you think he's got the money, but sometimes you're not above the law.
Here's the question.
Well, it's a good thing. I'm not endorsing this. I'm just saying it's just surprised.
Brett's getting a little shook up over here. I don't know if we have a game coming up or what, but he's nervous.
So a few shows ago, you said if the defense does exactly what they're supposed to and the offense does exactly what they're supposed to on a football field, defense wins.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's take it to real life. If a criminal does exactly what they're supposed to and the police do exactly what they're supposed to, does the criminal always get caught?
This is your best question you've ever asked.
Because it's kind of similar, right? In a way.
That guy in Chicago, Jesse or whatever, Smollett says, "What's up?"
That's true.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about,
But he
Brett.
didn't do exactly what he was supposed to do. Like, that's a whole...
That actor who said that he got beat up by those two guys.
Yeah.
Empire.
By the way, by
Empire.
Empire. Yeah, hey, genius, by the way. Try to challenge the Chicago PD like they haven't seen everything in that city. You're really going to go to Iola, Wisconsin and see what happens. Like, they don't have cameras over there, but you're going to go to the biggest city that has pretty much like the most crime and try to call it the Chicago PD? Good luck with that.
All right, serious answer, though. I don't know what wins. I would think the perfect crime wins. But that would be like the offense winning in football.
And that's what I was thinking in that case.
But can we really compare?
I think it's a good.
I'm trying to make it
perfect crime
real
versus perfect detective work and
Okay.
police work. Who wins? I mean, again, I'd like to think police work wins, and that would mean your defense wins.
I guess every case is different. Like, what's define? I mean,
don't define it. Just do it.
Elliot Ness caught Al Capone. That's I don't know. And that's a true story.
No, that's true. Like, even after, he was the greatest criminal, you could say, still eventually got caught.
Well, the one, see that you just said a key word, which hardly.
Eventually.
You said eventually. You said eventually. Like, so, in a football game, we were talking about it, you got a time limit. So I think.
Eventually is not an option in a football game.
So I kind of like the question, though. It's got me thinking on a Friday evening, like almost at 6 o'clock.
Eventually, the offense would score. But it's the defense job to make sure it doesn't happen in the time frame. In this scenario.
You can't get here, huh?
I'm trying. I'm trying
love
to.
I'm intrigued by it. Speaking of perfect crime and stuff,
yeah.
You ever do you like the mysterious podcasts? You ever try them?
Yeah, I haven't tried them, but I mean they're always intriguing.
If
I had more time, I would.
I went to
check
Wyoming in the summer, and so we had some friends, and they lived in Laramie. And we had driven down like all these small towns. So they suggested the Frozen Truth podcast.
Okay.
If you want a good one, it's a good one.
It's like a mystery thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
I like
Check
the
it out.
mysteries.
The Frozen Truth is what it's called. So I'm suggesting a podcast along your trails.
I'm just still trying to think about Kuz's question.
I like the question.
Yeah,
all right.
No, it's a great question. I'm literally trying to wrap my head around it, and I'm trying
think about it all weekend.
Yeah, okay, there we go. That's my homework.
While you're hitting your shins with golf clubs to get you shin conditioning in.
You bet.
We don't suggest that either here on the show. Only if you're in a gym training for a fight on March 16th.
There you go.
Got to get a win, victory.
Need a W.
You got to take me back to before we get to the game, and I know we're running out of time.
We are,
but we got to go to the introduction. Yesterday, hang with us here on this one. It's going to take a little bit. But to me, it's the best introduction since like the music of the Chicago Bulls used to come into, and it's down at the WGC in Mexico. Take a listen.
Sí, México, juntos estamos escribiendo esta fabulosa historia. Señoras y señores, ladies and gentlemen, bienvenidos. Welcome to the WGC México Championship 2019. Directamente desde los Estados Unidos, recibamos, como solo México sabe hacerlo, a una leyenda de este juego. 14 veces ganador de Majors, 4 veces campeón del Masters de Augusta, 3 veces ganador del US Open y del Abierto Británico, 4 veces campeón del PGA Championship. Sí, de los Estados Unidos y por primera vez compitiendo en México. Tiger Woods!
The look on Tiger's face is priceless. That is awesome. And if you haven't seen the video, Tiger does chuckle at it. It's kind of funny.
I mean, how can you not, man?
20 seconds in, I'm like, how are we still going?
Yeah, Tiger better win now.
But the old, everybody will say Tiger Woods, Tiger
Woods, y'all.
Tiger Woods. I love that. That was awesome, I thought, yesterday. So speaking of Tiger Woods, Dustin Johnson leads down in Mexico. Matt Kuchar's second at 10 under. Rory McIlroy is shot behind them at 9. And Tiger Woods is 5 under. Finished around 66, so not bad. 7th place right now for Tiger, but 6 shots off the lead going into the weekend. All right, game time.
Kuz, hit me with it.
Time to play the game.
You got your own music now.
How's that for an intro? Yeah, it's from
That's
wrestling.
good.
Actually, it's Triple H, but obviously the band would be Motorhead. Rest in peace to Lemmy. Brent, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
Do I have to wear this?
Yeah, so here's what's going to happen. I have 7 towns in Wisconsin that I've either played hockey at or played football at. Your job, Brent, is to name these towns, because the reason for the idea came yesterday when I gave a little shout out to the town that I played hockey in was Wapaka, and you actually pronounced it right, and I was in shock. And people back home listening, they were in shock because it's a hard name to pronounce. So I have 7 names here, Brent. We're going to see how well you know Wisconsin, how well we can, we can flow and be a team chemistry, kind of like a bonding game here.
So this is going to be one that if you're watching on Twitter or at Brent Hayes Jacks,
Yes.
if you're watching on YouTube channel Action Sports Jacks or on Facebook at ESPN 690, this will be helpful if you're watching instead of just listening.
Exactly. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show the camera what the town is. I'm then going to whisper it in the microphone so the people know. Brent, you get one opportunity to say the town. There's no trying to sound it out. Once you're ready, say the town.
So I have to put these headphones on?
Yes. Put those headphones on and hum so you can't hear me. All right. First town is.
There's a lot of dead air right here, by the way, if you get up and show everybody the town. So
I'll show from right
I
here.
can't hear what you're saying, but.
The first town is Waiwiga.
All right.
Brent,
Here
first
it is.
town. Don't sound it out. You just got to say it when you think you know it.
Wayawega.
Ooh.
That's close-ish.
Waiwiga 0 for 1. And Brent, by the way, nobody on Twitter or Facebook thinks you're going to actually get one of these right.
By the way, I missed both of those syllables.
Yep. Number 2.
I'm not listening, I promise.
Economawalk.
All right.
Brent,
Next one up.
I played hockey here.
Oconomowoc.
Ooh,
Oh, that's pretty close.
So the correct term was Economawalk, but I think we'll put it in the we'll
That's
give it
got
to
to be
him.
good.
Okay.
Right?
Third one.
That was
Brent,
easy.
Hum.
By the way, you people in Wisconsin must be able to spell really good.
Wauwatosa. You'd be surprised, Brent.
Really good.
Wauwatosa. Brent, what does that one say?
I think I got this one right here.
Okay.
Does it sound like the shirt, hopefully, that Justin's wearing? Wauwatosa.
Bam!
Yeah!
Brent!
Yeah!
Okay.
Listen, I grew up caddying at a golf course named Wannamoiset.
Okay.
Sounded like that a little bit.
All right, you ready for the next one?
I'm ready, I think.
Kakana.
This is either really fun or the worst radio ever because I can't hear a thing.
You're doing great.
And so Austin's driving this ship. It's all his fault. Okay, this feels like Hawaiian, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Kakana.
Damn! Yeah, Kakana. We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And a fun fact about Kakana, they're called the Galloping Ghosts, which obviously ghosts on horse always up for debate, especially with the PC police.
They're called Galloping Ghosts?
The
That's their
Galloping
nickname?
Ghosts. That's their high school team name. All right.
We got 2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes. All
and
right.
I'm 3-1.
Okay, we have 3. Okay, we have 3 more.
I need one more.
Here we go, guys. McGuanago. The word is McGuanago.
Is this one tough, Coos? You looking at it funny?
I wouldn't have gotten any of these.
McGuanago.
Wow, there it is.
Damn. I mean, here, I guess there's 2 more.
Hey, let's go. Let's see how good I can get this.
This is
you
this
can have
one,
your wrestlers and MMA nicknames.
There's great hockey over here. It's Waukesha. The city is Waukesha.
I've heard of this city.
Have you really?
I feel like I have.
Okay, is it? It's that second one. It's either Aisha or Isha. Waukesha.
Ooh.
It's Waukesha.
Waukesha don't live here no more. Waukesha moved out. No, Brent, it is Waukesha.
Waukesha.
Last
Need
one.
a W at the end for Waukesha.
So is he 3-3 right now? It's for the win, right? This is for.
No, I think I already got.
Oh, you already won.
got the
Okay,
win.
well, it's just for fun then. This one is where I go snowboarding. Actually,
Last
Wausau.
one.
The town is Wausau.
I really can't imagine this is good radio.
I think it is. It's all right.
Wausau.
Damn, Brent, you hey, so what?
So
Brent,
5-2.
Hey, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you very much.
I'm going home proud of you, man. Congratulations.
That's
Dang.
one heck of a way to end the week.
And all those haters on Twitter and Facebook that were down against him, he came through.
Take that, Wisconsin.
Dang.
I'm moving in.
Good for you, man.
So I can have a drink from the bubbler.
You can have a drink from the bubbler.
In Wausau.
And you can have a barley pop on me.
Or Mukwanago.
Yeah. Dude, I'm
telling you, man. Kakana.
I'm literally in shock right now.
Wauwatosa.
Yeah.
Oconomowoc.
There you go, man.
And I got this one wrong. Waiawega?
Waiawega. Shout out to the Waiawega Fremont.
Man, that was fun. I win.
Raiders.
Hopefully you win, too. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on TV on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Thanks for listening.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and it looks like football is